So I think what we need to do,
Mhm.
not that we need to do it, but I think it would be cooler if we had our, doing duck lips for the camera.
This is the sound check portion of the podcast, so we
Yes.
would appreciate a good sound check, everybody.
Yes, please. Duck lips. I lost my train of thought. No, so we have the option, like, for that 30-second silence. Like, we should put together our intro stuff that could be running, and then we just talk right into it.
Right. Yeah. Don and Brady have a really good series of intros, and
and they have it on the mixer, but we can do that through StreamYard.
Oh, can we?
Yeah, we
like
can
pre-record our own thing and upload it.
We can upload video clips.
All right,
and run it through StreamYard. We should try it one of these times.
We should,
even if it's just something for customized for our 30 seconds of silence. You know,
I do not disagree.
How do we sound?
We got a couple of good sounds finds.
Fine. How
about outstanding?
What the fuck is fine? What does that mean? Are we talking about sandpaper here?
Really, when somebody says "I'm fine," that really means "help me."
Right. I saw a meme. It's like when you ask a white dude, how they're doing, and they say "living the dream." That really just means that they want their life to end as soon as possible.
Kill me!
Kill me now!
I wish I were dead.
I'm living a dream, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. It's when it's to say something that's positive, but really,
it's good shit.
Whatever. Out fucking standing. Good. I got fucking fine. Better.
All right.
And then we got click.
I like it. Because Bronco Fat's a troll.
One single click. Okay, now what do I click? Did we look for, before we start, did we find any 5-star reviews?
That is a good question, and I did not even think to look. We sit here, we beg and we plead, we offer blowjobs, and we don't even check before the show.
Listen, I'm so disappointed in the lack of needle movement on our call to action for getting YouTube.
I know
subscriptions.
It worked with all things Star Wars.
I think I think coming into this year, there's 3 ratings now. Hang on. We do have a new one in Audible.
Oh, good. I don't have that up, so we have nothing new in iTunes. So,
all right, I'm going to cut and paste this.
I leave that to you.
Cut and paste this into the show notes. That way I'm not having to click back and forth like a clicker would. When do we want to do them? Before our weeks?
Yeah, for sure.
Boom. Okay. There's that. This is from.
Oh man, we got all kinds of folks in the chat. We got Tom, we got Isaac, we got Kay Olson, we got Dragon Buddy, Big Lovin'.
Salt. Chris Terrence and Philip are sweet. Super salt.
Oh my god. That can be an episode. The South Park movie. Holy fuck.
The entirety of that. Just.
Oh my god. So much to unpack. I don't listen to hip hop.
So get fucking Windows 98. Get Bocase in here.
Oh shit, we got Shotgun Mark in the house too.
Oh damn. You know what?
This is a special occasion.
It's
a celebration.
Look at what Dutch just sent me. AKA Helmet Fire.
Nice.
I'm fine. Only tis a flesh wound. Oh, apparently Fro liked one of my Instagram posts. That's pretty sweet.
Fro?
That photographer that I follow, the Philly guy. Frono's Photo. He's the I Shoot Raw guy. Remember I had the I Shoot Raw shirts?
Oh, gotcha.
He's that guy. Ooh. I opened up my Instagram and there's Ronda Rousey punching somebody in the face. Get her, girl.
I'd rather see Gina Carano, but
I also, but
Ronda's not bad. She's got her qualities.
Wow. All kinds of good shit in here. I don't know.
So we're gonna start the podcast one of these days, or are you just gonna play on your fucking
Hey,
phone?
we're not even.
all evening.
We're not even. It's not even 1700 yet.
It's
so
almost.
I don't
almost
know
there.
what you're talking about.
All right. Well, we got good sound checks. Audio is recording.
Right? We should be reverb.
Yeah, reverb is good.
Reverb's off. Okay, good.
Fucking Max.
Ah,
All right. Well,
I'm ready.
let's do it.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I want those boots. You're not a SpongeBob guy, are you?
From a Gen X point of view, is brought to you today by
Podbelly.com, as per usual. Hello, friends. We here at the From a Gen X Point of View podcast would like to thank our friends at the Podbelly Network for being so supportive of the podcast and doing what Podbelly does for us. I don't know. I'm fucking completely bullshitting here. But if you are interested in getting some more podcasting knowledge, some either get podcasts or make podcasts or do some shit like that. This went way better in my head. You need to go to podbelly.com. In fact, I'm going to show you right now. You go to podbelly.com, pig out on podcasts. You right on the splash page, you got our Podbelly network, of which we are a member.
Yes, we are.
And you'll see great podcasts like The Piecast, which, wow, very good. Paranormal Podcast, Robots for Eyes. I like that. Good graphics there. Or from here, you could go to the podcast directory, like I just clicked. And, oh, look at this. More podcasts. You can find the All Things Star Wars podcast.
Yes, it does still exist.
It still exists. You find the Escape Pod also is there. You can find the Used and Abused podcast. Is also there. This is where you want to go. Start at podbelly.com. And actually, to be honest, what made me think of this is the fact that podbelly.com, like it'll actually send you to it'll play our RSS feed if that's what you want to do,
Mhm.
if you're playing through your web browser, or it'll link you to where our podcast is. Did you know that we have our website up?
Are you asking me?
I am asking you.
Who
else am I talking to?
I did know that.
So if you go to genxpov.buzzsprout.com, look at that. It's us.
Hey.
And you also can link to places where you can hear our podcast like Spotify and Overcast. But start at podbelly.com and you'll find a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah, and you will do it.
Do it.
So, Happy New Year, everybody.
Almost.
So we are at the end of 2020. And what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to end it on a high note.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the top 5 things, good things, our individual top 5 things of 2020.
Yes. Because everybody else, I'm sure, in their year-end countdowns or recaps or whatever the fuck, are all talking about the negative, as there were many this year.
Absolutely.
Obviously, starting with COVID, working your way to all the fucking people that died this year,
Yeah.
just all the other bullshit that went on, the fucking elections. And we're not going to talk about any of that shit unless it's somewhat in reference to some of our good things. We're going to cap this off with our top 5 of 2020. 5 things, be it entertainment, our personal lives, whatever, that made our 2020 good. I wouldn't say great. I was about to say great. I don't know if we can ever refer to this year as great, but
if we look back on 2020 and we realize how great 2020 was compared to something else, holy fuck, we are in for we are in for a, oh my god, a nuclear level event if that's the case, because God help us.
Yeah, if we go back to remember 2020 when all we had to do was wear masks and
yeah. Well, there's a good meme out there for that. It's talking about like if somebody finds a mask in their pocket and like, oh yeah, remember when we just had to wear masks? And then they step into this post-apocalyptic fucking Fallout New Vegas fucking environment.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about today. Before we get into things like our weeks and the main topic, we want to talk about the direction of the podcast
Yes.
going into the new year. First and foremost, if you've been following our feed, you know that we've been doing a lot of all things Star Wars episodes over the last couple of months.
Right.
Obviously, with Mandalorian coming out, some big announcements related to the Star Wars universe, there was no way we couldn't cover that stuff in the all things Star Wars format. But like we said last week, it's probably time to, put that away for the season again.
Yeah.
Probably not going to do another all things Star Wars for quite some time. So now we're focusing on from a Gen X point of view. And we're starting to think about future topics and the future format of the show. And one of the things that we discussed over the last few days was kind of getting some consistency with our show topics.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And you came up with the idea of doing one music related topic and one movie related topic per month.
Yes.
And then having kind of two floating topics.
Right.
So that's the plan moving forward. We brainstormed a ton of ideas as far as especially music topics.
Yeah, I think we have a good way forward, and I'd like to have a reason to talk about music aside from somebody dying,
right?
Because that's when we ended up talking about music was the death
Van
of
Halen.
Van Halen.
Yeah.
So I'd rather incorporate Gen X music is a huge part of our growing up.
Oh hell yes, because like I said, music was more important to me growing up than anything else, be it movies, TV, all that. I was a huge music guy.
Right.
Always had a very nice stereo, huge collection of cassette tapes, which eventually graduated to a huge collection of CDs. So yeah, I've got.
Thank you, Columbia House.
Oh god, and BMG. Can't forget that. Which I was a member of both multiple times over. But we digress. So that is the planned format moving forward, and I think we even decided on what our next topic is.
Apparently somebody wants dance numbers in the chat.
Probably not going to happen there, Miss Kathleen. So I think next week we're going to talk about MTV, right? We're going to cover sort of MTV through our generation. And there's a lot to break down. From the time that it debuted through the early 2000s, which is about where it cut off for me.
Yeah.
Lot to unwrap there, lots to talk about. So that's going to be the plan for next week.
MTV for the first pod of the new year. Talk about something that's the pretty foundational piece of introduction to a lot of different music. I think for us.
Oh yeah,
because it was music television.
Yeah, go figure, right?
Yeah,
you wouldn't know that today.
That's what we're going to talk about this week.
All right, fair enough. That being said, we ready to move into our weeks?
No, we got a 5-star review.
Oh,
we got a 5-star review. We have to read, and now let me see. Check chat real quick, see if this individual is in there, and I do not see him.
While he's looking for that, a friendly reminder: if you leave us a 5-star review wherever, be it iTunes is the preferred method, but you said this one is on Audible.
Right.
I think you can also leave them on Spotify. Wherever you leave us a 5-star review.
I don't think you can do it on Spotify, but definitely Audible.
I'm sure that's coming.
One would hope.
Yeah. But wherever you leave us a review, whatever you say in the review, we will read verbatim here on the show. So if you want to talk about your grandmother's famous apple pie recipe, you can put it in there and we will read it verbatim.
We will read it. And if you want it read in a particular character, we will do our best to accommodate that.
Yes. So please go on to wherever you get your podcast, be it iTunes, Audible, like you said. You can leave us a review on Facebook. Yep. You can leave us reviews everywhere. Just do that. YouTube, I think. Does YouTube do reviews?
No. But you can subscribe.
Okay. Yeah, and please do that too.
You could post things on our channel and we can look for that stuff.
That would be nice.
We would like all the subscriptions.
Yes.
All of them.
So anyway,
and
we will suck your dicks for 5-star reviews.
Jason will suck your dick.
and whatever you say, we will read verbatim on the air. Right. That being said, we have a new 5-star review.
Yes. So let's hear it. Off of Audible, awesome podcast from Sean Roberts, who we will from now point refer to as the Worshipful Master. Jason and Dave are two great guys talking smack sometimes, Gen X topics, and being a Gen Xer and having never seen any Star Wars movies or shows, their chatter about that still isn't bad. Maybe takes about 20 of the 90 to 120 minutes you hear on any episode. Oh, sidebar, you need to find the ATSW drinking game. Those rules will apply and you will be hammered if you do it right.
Indeed. Thank you, Luna Girl.
Yes.
For putting those together.
If you are curious about what he's talking about, you need to find us on the Sidebar Cantina on Facebook.
Yeah, we have a private Facebook group, the Sidebar Cantina.
Yep.
Search it up. That's where we are.
So it is a by approval type thing. So you go.
We're very elitist. So
yeah, obviously. I mean, look at us. But really what we want is to make sure that we're only offending the people that we like.
Right.
So if you are interested in that, and there's shit in the Sidebar Cantina like on the regular. Daily content.
Oh yeah, I'm always posting memes and shit in there.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
It's the Sidebar Cantina is a good place to be. So you can find us there. You can find the ATSW drinking game, which is now also the Gen X POV drinking game. The rules have been modified as appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Sean,
all right,
aka the Worshipful Master, for hooking us up with a review.
And thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Fucking snaps.
So that being said,
fucking snaps. You know what? Until we open our Patreon back up, I think snaps should be verboten. People should pay for the snaps. If we have to sit here for the snaps, then there should be some sort of monetary reward.
Well, I was actually going to talk to you about that. I think there's a specific milestone that we need to hit before we open it back up, and we'll talk about that later.
Fair enough.
And we'll start making a push for it.
Free snaps. I mean, you're giving them away. You're giving them away for nothing.
Yeah, it's true.
We're not even getting subs from it.
No. All right. To be continued.
Save the snaps.
Yep. All right. So for our weeks, obviously the biggest thing that happened in the last week was Christmas. It's that time of year and we all got gifts. And this is normally when we start bragging about our gifts. And you already saw one today, but I'll show it to the YouTube audience. This is an official Igloo cooler. This is the Igloo brand with Star Wars decals all over it.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw those online, I was thinking, "Oh man, it's they're kind of pricey, and I wasn't sure how good they were gonna look." And now that I've seen it in person, I desire that Igloo.
Yeah, and Kristen got this for me for Christmas. No idea how much it was. It was
ignorance is bliss, my friend.
Indeed. So
Big Sweet has a smaller Baby Yoda version, I believe.
Oh, I know Big Sweet's got a smaller version. But...
Hey, is he in here to defend himself?
He was in here earlier, but
fair enough.
I didn't mean it, Nick. You're a good guy.
That thing is fucking awesome. I'm stoked.
Are we still talking about my dick?
No.
Oh, okay.
I got nothing.
Yes, derailed.
Damn you! Damn you! All right, what else did you get?
Okay, so
Igloo guy.
My good friend Rachel. I've talked about her on the podcast before. She made me a Christmas gift. Okay. Which now I feel like an asshole because I didn't get her anything.
Right.
So she sprung this on me. I didn't realize she actually was an artist. Okay. So she made this ornament for me by hand. She hand painted this thing.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's on a like a piece of pine.
Yeah.
It's got Yoda with a mask on for 2020.
Yes.
It's fucking perfect.
I'll hold it up to the camera so everybody can see it. So yeah, she made me this by hand. She said she just took a picture of him from the internet and then kind of, traced and painted over it. But still, she did a really good job. Thank you, Rachel. And again, now I feel like shit because I didn't get her anything. So I'm going to have to go above and beyond for her birthday or something.
Yeah, reciprocating is part of the human condition.
Indeed. At least I feel guilty about it. If I didn't feel guilty about it, then, we'd have a problem.
Right.
So getting back to Kristen and some of her gifts for me. She got me a couple of ornaments, which I don't know how well you can see these, but I'm going to pull them out of the box.
Oh, I could.
She got me some Hallmark ornaments, one of which was a little NES.
That thing is perfect. Look at that.
I'm going to hold it up to the camera. Again, you're missing this. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, these are the things that you're missing. Now, even better, the front opens up. There's a little Super Mario Brothers cartridge inside, and push the button on the front. Push the power button.
That's fucking awesome.
It goes all the way to where he gets the flag at the end. Then you got the
That's pretty fucking cool.
In addition to that, she got me one that, which I didn't actually put the thing in here, but sorry, riveting. I know.
It's okay. We named your dick, by the way.
Oh, what is it? Is it something good at least?
Nope.
Awkward silence. Bushi?
No, it's now named Awkward Silence.
Awkward
Oh,
silence.
look at that.
Feel that.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. So this is a Legend of Zelda cartridge ornament. It's gold. It's fucking heavy. It's like die cast.
Yeah, that's like gives you the illusion that it's made of gold.
Yeah.
Dude, the branches on your tree would have to be fucking like
This
roided
thing-
out to
yeah.
hold that thing up.
This thing is heavy, man. This thing is really heavy, but
thing is pointy. fellas.
fucking awesome.
That is really cool.
So thank you, Kristen, for the amazing Christmas gifts. By the way, I completely forgot to talk about my birthday present from her last week.
You did indeed.
So you've known me for a while.
Right.
You know that I carry a very special wallet,
Uh-huh.
as some people have referred to the George Costanza wallet.
Yes.
So last week for my birthday, Kristen got me one of these guys.
Oh, nice.
It's the Ridge, the little thingado that kind of holds all of your cards.
yeah.
It has a money clip on it, so it's a very
It's designed to be a front pocket wallet.
yes.
Yeah, it's not. It's you can't shove a lot of extra shit in there. It's
That's
because
what she said.
Nah. Awkward silence.
Indeed,
But yeah, and you're still putting in your back pocket, which weird, but
it's habit.
yeah,
But I don't carry the George Costanza wallet anymore.
it's good. It's going to be better for your back in the long run.
Right.
It's science, proven science that people that have these giant file cabinet wallets like you had
Mhm.
and sit for any length of time, you're sitting on this fucking thing where your
It's like-
ass cheek is like lifted up, so now your spine's like tilted out of position. Just to like, you're going to be much better off with something like that.
Indeed.
Minimalist wallets are the shit. I've been doing it for years. This is what I'm sporting.
Oh, nice.
I had one of those, not the Ridge brand. I had a Amazon brand,
Uh-huh.
and it clanked a little bit too much in my pocket for me. This one is made out of recycled fire hoses.
Oh, no shit.
Apparently, when you buy them, it supports firefighters and shit like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very
but
cool.
minimalist wallets are the way to go.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for years. It is the shit, and you will enjoy it,
Awesome.
and your back will enjoy it too.
Yeah, for sure. So I know Keith Lehman was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still there, but fantasy football, the finals was this weekend. It was me versus Keith. It's not officially over yet, so I'm not going to say much until next week.
You should
Well,
not.
We'll do the official crowning ceremony and everything next week. I will say though, no matter what the results are from this weekend, Keith won in the shit talking department. Dude is on another fucking level, not just with me, but just the whole season. If you watch Keith, he posts in the Sidebar Canteen all the time. Anytime he's playing somebody in fantasy football, he is the fucking roast master. He made a message for me. Like, I felt intimidated after watching. I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's gonna kick my ass.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, Keith is awesome. No matter what, Keith is the roast master, but it's looking pretty favorable for me. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the scores now. I'm in the same boat. I'm in a tight contest for third.
Yeah.
So I refuse to say anything about it at this point.
Yep.
Because we're talking like 51% to 49%.
Oh, damn.
That's what the projections are. I've got one player playing tonight. It's going to make or break it for
Mhm.
third place. It would be neat though to have, at least us. I mean, no matter what, we're in the top three.
Yeah.
So two of the top three are from the mothership, as the escape pod guys call it. So
Yep.
I'm pretty proud of that, especially after our fucking alleged mediocre drafts.
Yeah. How's that C+ working out for you, Yahoo? Fuck you. Last thing for me, I've been back in the gym, so I had to take a bit of a hiatus for my ink. They really suggest, I actually Googled it. They suggest taking like 2 weeks off of the gym after getting a tattoo because it's still technically a wound. It's not an open wound per se, but you could still like rub it against like gym equipment, bacteria, infections, blah blah blah. I couldn't do it, man. Like by day 4, I was already getting fucking angry, depressed, everything. Like I need my fucking gym time for my sanity.
Can you like put a sleeve on it? Like, they make these like they're not like full like heavy neoprene ones, but they have ones like you see basketball players and shit.
Oh yeah, no, I have a bunch of like undergarments like that. They're real tight stuff. Yeah. But what's the point of that? That's not why I got the tattoo, to cover it up.
Jason wants to stare at himself as much as possible.
I do find myself looking at me in the mirror a lot.
Well, we can tell from the pictures you post on Instagram. So
yeah. So, but anyway, I'm back into the gym on a normal cycle. In fact, I was there like an hour and a half ago, like right before you got here. I was, taking a shower from going to the gym, which is all fine and good. Unfortunately, it is that time of year where you get all the New Year's resolution people starting to buy fucking memberships. So I'm not looking forward to the next couple of months.
Do you think it'll be as bad this year with the COVID stuff?
I honestly don't. That's the only saving grace, I guess.
Right.
Out of all this is I don't anticipate as many people as you normally see every year around this time. But fuck, man, I was in there today because of my wacky schedule. I have to go either ridiculously early in the morning, like 3 a.m, or 3 p.m, basically.
That's right. Your place is 24 hours
during the week, not on the weekend though. The weekend is different. There's not nearly as many people, but I went there at fucking 3 today. The place was fucking packed, and it was mostly like high school kids. So I think that the local fucking high school, they probably have like their last period is gym or whatever, and some of these guys actually go.
And maybe the kids that are wrestling or something like that are supposed to be staying in shape.
Yeah,
that's because they can't go into the school to work out. Because I know if playing team sports, usually you'd be in the high school at certain times after school to do your to do weight room.
Yeah.
So if you can't do that, they're probably, like you said, even the gym I used to belong to would have that. You'd have not like the wrestlers and the cross country people would be in there. And you'd see them working out after school because reasons,
right?
Either the weight room was already taken, or just they have some place to work out, and the place had a pretty good student discount too.
Yeah, though I will say the good thing about this is it makes me feel better about myself because I look at these fucking kids. Most of them are pretty scrawny, pretty small arms. I'm like, look at these fucking idiots. They're so small, they're weak and fucking bony, and here I am, 44-year-old man, like comparing myself to these fucking high school kids.
Well, hey, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yes, whatever keeps my mental sanity up.
The chat is bringing up all the diseases you're going to get.
MRSA, staph infection.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'll be honest with you. I wish I was comfortable going to the gym because I'm still not. I'm still COVID wary when it comes to shit like that. Like I don't go into buildings a lot. Like I still avoid a lot of stores and everything else.
Oh, trust me, I get it. Like I totally understand. Something else I forgot to mention. I'm getting my first COVID vaccination on January 9th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's already in the works. I'm already scheduled. So I'll let you know how it is.
Yeah.
If it fucking kicks the shit out of me and I get a crazy allergic reaction.
Yeah, we'll be doing a pod remotely.
Yeah.
It's like you can keep that shit to yourself for a couple weeks.
So anyway, that's pretty much my week. What about you? What you been up to?
So Christmas, the same. I didn't bring my Christmas stuff with me. I am so happy that Amazon exists so that I can. I'm super hard to buy for. I mean, let's face it. Like if I want something, I find a way to get it. Like when I want it.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So we're like, I think dudes in general are very, very difficult to buy for, especially ones that like are impulsive, let's say. So
no, not us.
So I made this list on Amazon, and Santa brought me damn near everything on it. It was fucking great. I got a memory upgrade for I have a Mac Mini at home. It's like a 2011, 2012 Mac Mini, and the fucking thing spins like a top. And so one good thing you can say about Macs, like if you go and plug one in right now, it'll work.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll work relatively well, except for when you're trying to run like video editing software or something like that. So, and the Camtasia license I have is only on the Mac. So I'm like, it was cheaper to upgrade the memory in the Mini to make that work. Yeah, definitely movement for something like a good DeWalt 20-volt drill.
Yeah. Some more,
Her.
some good chat stuff going on.
Yeah.
Again, you're missing this if you're not subscribed to YouTube.
Yeah, so I got a lot of that stuff. I got a grip for my camera, which it basically it holds 2 extra batteries. It's like, or it holds 2 batteries, so you get extra power, and then you can hold it more for like taking portraits and shit. Something I wanted for a while. Super happy with it. I got a seat for my fucking bike, so when I'm riding on the inside, I can actually be a little bit more comfortable than the fucking mountain bike saddle. That's like,
don't get the hemorrhoid flare ups.
Oh my god, dude, it's fucking horrific. So I'm super happy that I'm gonna have a little more cushion under my ass from riding.
Sidebar. So as a kid, I had a bike. I fucking rode it everywhere. I constantly rode bikes, and then when I hit my teenage years, that kind of like went to the wayside. Then, especially when I got a car and started driving, bikes was completely off of my radar. Didn't touch a fucking bike for like a good 4 years. The last job I had before I joined the Air Force was I was a security guard at a Ford dealership.
Right.
And one of the things that they provided for us, at first there was a golf cart. The golf cart broke, so they gave us a bike. And I got on the bike and I started riding. After like the first 2 days, I'm like, what the fuck? Why does my asshole hurt so fucking much? And then I realized, as you get older, bike seats, if they're not good, can fucking tear your asshole up.
Yeah, bike seats are designed, like on this mountain bike that I have, it's designed to be lightweight because you don't, like if you're riding long distance and you're trying to like get up over things, when you're mountain biking, you don't want all this extra weight. So it's super light, which means it's minimalist, which means it's not comfortable for you to just fucking sit your fat ass on.
Yeah.
So now I have a comfy gel seat.
Nice.
Should be a lot better. Although I need a new seat post to hold it.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's that kind of stuff. I did bring this though. So we went up to State College to pick up Kate, and we spent the Thanksgiving. We were there at Thanksgiving too, but spent Christmas Day there in State College, and it was great. Kathy and I, we were in a hotel. We made a little Christmas tree out of the presents. We brought our presents for each other up there, and we just opened them, and it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
And then we went over to Kate and opened up presents, and I got this, or Kate got me, or Kate and her boyfriend Ryan got me this Brickheads Star Wars. It's Mando and Baby Yoda.
Nice.
And it's great. I put it together. You can pop it. You can go in there. I put them together already. Dude, I forgot how much I love putting Legos together.
Did you? Because I didn't forget how much you love Legos.
Oh my god. What's insane right now is that Legos are still as like valuable as they were at any point. Like if you like trying to get hold of the Razor Crest to buy that, or buying an X-Wing or something like that, they're so expensive, but the builds are so fucking spot on. And I'm so envious of these people that have the space to display the entirety of their Lego collections. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. And if you're in the Sidebar Cantina, I posted just before Christmas back in 2015 when I built that Lego set. It was like I had the Star Wars Legos and like Emmett from
Lego Movie.
Yeah. And then I had a pirate ship, and I had all this like conglomeration of stuff happening on this table with my train going around it. It was, oh my god, so much fun. I really appreciate Kate and Ryan getting me some Legos put together, because that's immediately what I did.
Yeah.
I like,
of course,
I'm gonna do this, which really makes me want to fucking put that TIE Fighter pilot helmet together.
Oh, you haven't done that yet?
I haven't. No, It's sitting nicely on my approved Star Wars holder shelf system that I have my things.
When you say approved, the only thing that Kathy is going to let you have in the house.
This is where the Star Wars things live, and but it's all dedicated right now to TIE Fighter. Like it's my Lego tie,
Obviously.
my Micro Machines Lego stuff, TIE Fighter pilots everywhere. You get the idea. So fucking Legos were awesome. Leave it to a Marine to say something like that.
Of course.
Yeah, so Christmas was good. Yeah, it was Santa was good to me, and getting Kate. We brought Kate home because she's having her wisdom teeth out. All right, so that's going to be fun.
Did she just join the Air Force?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's usually when it happens.
Yeah, because it's this weird thing that when you first join the Air Force, they're like, "Oh, your wisdom teeth are impacted. We got to take those out like right now."
You know what? It'd be nice if that was the case because then the Air Force would be paying for it.
Right.
I'm just saying. But no, she's doing that tomorrow. We went to the beach today. We brought her dog and her cat from State College to be in the house.
So yeah, I think it was Kathy posted a picture on Instagram or Facebook earlier today.
Yeah,
your guys' trek to the beach, and all I saw was just animal hair
dogs
all over the place.
Dogs. Yeah, yeah. My car is going to need a serious vacuuming after all this.
Mm.
I mean, even with just Holly though, there's usually a fair amount of dog hair.
Yeah,
but getting two in there and have the splashing around in the ocean, stuff like that, all the smells. But it was nice. It was nice to get out away from the computer for a minute to do that. One of the things that I got was it's a book. It's called Rock Force, and it's a book about the 503rd Parachute Regiment. It's the unit that my grandfather was in when they liberated.
Suck my unit.
When they liberated Corregidor.
Mm.
So it's about it's specifically about the 503rd. So it's basically a first person narrative from like 4 different individuals, like taken from like their diaries and for individual interviews, stuff like that.
It's awesome.
And so it's a story that's told from the soldier's perspective about basically these people that fought side by side with my grandfather.
That's great.
Fascinating read.
Yeah.
Really, really. I mean, I think you know how I am if I like a book, I get through it pretty quick. So I think it may have taken me
a couple hours,
6 hours,
yeah.
like, cover to cover during work and other stuff. But when I read stuff like that about that, we kid and like, Gen Xers and the greatest generation, stuff like that. But I think about what those guys went through and those individual experiences, and it makes me really miss my fucking grandfather. Like so many of these stories, he'd be in his mid-90s right now, but just to read this and go like, oh hey, is this like, you get some stories from him, but we never got like a lot of detail.
I was going to ask you that, like, did he tell you a lot of stories?
We got a couple of stories out of him, and there was a couple of them that I heard that one of them or two of them were actually validated in the book, told from another person's perspective.
No
which
shit.
Is fascinating.
Oh,
it's awesome. Fucking fascinating.
From his point of view, if you fucking live through hell and survive and make it out, do you really want to relive that anymore?
The probably the most of the narrative you're going to get from a lot of those guys were like, we weren't heroes. We were out there. We did what we needed to do. We survived.
Yeah.
The heroes were the people that didn't make it. And that, I think, to a person from that generation, especially in those fighting units, the Marines that were on Iwo Jima, and Saipan, fuck all the Marines in any part in the Pacific that took part of those things.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. If I bring this up because anything to do with my grandfather is just fucking something I want to be involved in. But if you're into World War II at all and you're interested in a good read, it's not terribly long and it's told
like my dick. Wait, never mind.
Which is named Awkward Silence. Like that's your dick's name from this point forward. I forget the author's name, but you can go on Amazon and look for Rock Force.
Rock Force.
And
that sounds awesome. Rock Force.
Well, that's the thing. Like the guys that jumped on Corregidor, like that unit, they changed their unit name to the Rock after that, because once they took Corregidor back. So yeah, fascinating stuff. It was a great read. It kind of just, moves, gets some stuff moving about, that generation and thinking about what they all went through. Now that most of those guys, if they're a minute, they're in their mid 90s. It's
weird to think about.
It's crazy,
and it's only going to be another 5-10 years before that entire every single person that served in World War II is going to be gone.
But that's we can talk about that topic another time, because I think generation as Gen Xers, we're kind of we're spring loaded to kind of look on our grandparents, and it's they're older, but it doesn't seem like it's that far away. But here we are sitting in our mid 40s, right? Yeah. We're sitting here in our mid 40s. I remember, you remember your parents, and we're getting on ages where remember our grandparents.
Oh yeah,
like at that age. So we're starting to get into that fucking wheelhouse as Gen Xers, and it's kind of that's like, am I ready for that? I don't know if I'm ready for that shit.
It's fucking weird, man. It's really weird.
But anyway, that's it. That's it for my week. You would be disappointed. I only talked for like 15 minutes.
Oh man, what the fuck is going on? So before we get into our main topic, I gotta take a break.
Yep.
So that being said, we will be right back after this word from our sponsors.
Dragon Buddy, that is fucking awesome. And if you haven't gone to see the Enola Gay, you need to. Yeah, it's anybody who's even mildly into like history and shit like that, you need to go to the Air and Space Museum, because aviation, even if you're not into airplanes, aviation and the timeline of aviation is basically a snapshot of the history of the United States. You look at where we were with Orville and Wilbur, in that time frame in like 1908 or whatever it was, and fast forward through our country's existence and the evolution of flight into space flight, and going forth from there. Fucking just fascinating stuff. I wanted to find that book, Amazon.com, and it's called Rock Force by Kevin Maurer. I'm gonna throw this up here if anybody wants to look at it. But really, it's for if anybody's interested. So many stories have been told. You have the Band of Brothers series that was on HBO, which brought a lot of positive light to the to the Screaming Eagles and those airborne units. Those paratrooper units were part of the straw that broke the back of the enemy in these wars. So
fuck Canada.
But yeah, hey, fuck you, buddy. The stuff that happened in Pacific, I know they did an HBO thing, kind of Band of Brothers style, for the Pacific as well. But I think that was mainly centered on like the Marines and places like Iwo Jima, and some of those smaller islands, Wake Island, shit like that. But
been there.
There's there's a lot of amazing stories, and the Philippines in general, like one of the things that made the United States like a naval power in the late 19th century was basically liberating the Philippines from the Spanish. And when they established a foothold there, and Corregidor is one of the places, it turned into basically a fortress to protect the Manila Bay. And that's the United States held that up until the Japanese took it back in 1942. So, and MacArthur, as part of the story, MacArthur was the guy. He was the general in charge of those people, and he was living in Corregidor, like with his family. When the Japanese were trying to retake it, he was ordered by the president to you have to leave. We can't afford to have you rolled up by the Japanese.
Right.
So he had to leave, and the Japanese ended up taking the island. So MacArthur, one of MacArthur's big things was, I got to go back. You know, he had this moral obligation to go back and liberate the Philippines. And my grandfather's unit, the 503rd, was the hammer
Damn.
to fucking do that.
It's fucking great.
Fascinating shit, man.
So much history there. All right. Do you need to take a break or anything?
Yeah, let me take a quick squeeze.
All right.
Grab my awkward silence. Not your awkward silence. What's all the PS3 games?
Mind your business. Yeah. All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's catch up on the chat a little bit here. 140 microbit set for gaming and PC builds. Okay. All right. Wait. Yes. I don't know why I'm sneezing all of a sudden tonight. I'm not sick. Don't worry about it. Yeah. It's the weird weather. It's like super cold, then kind of warm, and then super cold, and then unseasonably warm. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on. We were cheated from our white Christmas. So we got the snow the couple of days before Christmas, and then we got fucking super warm temperatures and thunderstorms that came and just washed all the snow away. So no white Christmas. And oh, by the way, a lot of places actually lost power that fucking night.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
You know what I was doing at State College? Snowing all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a light snow all day. So it's probably the first white Christmas I had since I was like 10.
Ah, awesome.
So it was neat, but it was cold. There were still remnants of the 2 feet that they had there. But yeah, we heard the next door neighbor lost some siding. There's some roof damage in the neighborhood. You know, apparently the winds were fucking ripping.
Yeah. Yeah, it got pretty bad at one point. You good?
Yes.
All right. Give me a 30-second countdown, and then we'll get back to it.
And ready, set.
And we're back.
I got to stop holding my breath while we're doing 30 seconds of silence. I'm going to pass out.
Yeah. So we're talking about our top 5 of 2020. Now, I've got my top 5 list.
Yeah.
We're going to do this in our standard top 5 format, but I've also got some honorable mentions.
Same.
Do you want to save those for the end, or do you want to do those first?
Let's save them for the end.
All right, we'll save them for the end. So how about I start us off?
Okay.
So my number 5, good thing of 2020, because this is, again, to refresh everybody's memory, we're trying to reflect on the good of 2020. There wasn't a lot. We understand it was a shit year, but we're trying to end on a positive note. All right, let's be positive in this fucking world.
Yep.
You know, fuck the media, fuck all the politicians, fuck all the people that are just trying to make things negative. We're trying to make things a little more positive. So my number 5 is actually something that didn't even happen in 2020. It's something that I came around to doing in 2020, and that's Cobra Kai.
Okay.
So I know I talked in the past in our podcast about Cobra Kai. I watched season 1 the day and date that it came out, pretty much binged it over the course of 3 days. Fucking loved it. Cobra Kai, the continuation of the Karate Kid series, right? Which I don't know how much you and I have actually talked about your history with Karate Kid.
No, we haven't. I think we're probably saving that.
Okay, because I've made no secret that I fucking loved the Karate Kid as a kid.
Right.
And when they did this reboot series, I'm like, oh, I'm fucking in. Bringing back, fucking William Zabka and Daniel. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Ralph Macchio. Yes. Jesus Christ. So yeah, bringing them back to, play their characters 30 years later. Fucking awesome. And I'll tell you what, they did such a good fucking job with this show. Season 1 and season 2. Now, I watched season 1 when it first came out in 2018. I didn't watch season 2 when it came out in 2019. I don't know what the fuck was going on. I'm a busy person. I had a lot of shit going on, and season 2 kind of fell off my radar until a couple of months ago when I finally fucking binged it over the course of like 2 days. And I'm like, fuck, season 2 was amazing. So that was my number 5 thing of 2020. I watched season 2 of Cobra Kai, fucking loved every episode of it. And like a week after I watched that second season, they debuted the trailer for the 3rd season and announced that the 3rd season is starting January 1st. So 4 days from now, from the day that we're recording this, season 3 of Cobra Kai is hitting Netflix, and I couldn't be happier. Fucking love this show. Brilliant writing for this, because in addition to getting you excited about the characters coming back, you know, fucking Daniel and Johnny and all that, they actually wrote the new generation, because that's what these reboots are all about, right?
Right.
It's all about, yes, we've got the old people here, but we're trying to usher in this new generation. They did that with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, right?
Yeah.
You know, you had the original trilogy characters kind of in the background and trying to push these new characters to the foreground. However your opinion of that was, whatever, they've done a fucking fantastic job in Cobra Kai. Like, you actually get invested in these new characters. So brilliant job. Loved everything that they did in season 2, which I know it came out in 2019. I watched it in 2020. If you have a problem with that, go fuck yourself. But Cobra Kai was my number 5 great thing of 2020.
So interesting. As you were talking, I'm trying to adjust my list a little bit here to kind of coincide with that, because quite frankly, it's kind of nebulous when you're thinking about you know, sometimes personal things may be a little bit different than stuff for the greater good, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
is that how you made your list?
Well, there's a little bit of column A, a little column B.
Okay.
Because it's stuff that I've been thinking about, and then quite frankly, before I left for the house, you know, I kind of asked Kathy and my father-in-law, like, you know, what do you think? What do you think the top things were? Mm-hmm. Like, if you were doing a top 5, and a lot of it, you know, we can talk about it, and others deserve to mention. My number 5 for 2020 was actually the new pod for us.
Yeah,
because the All Things Star Wars podcast has been awesome. We've done 160 some odd episodes. There'll be episodes at some point when Star Wars has a little bit of relevant content, but for the most part, we had reached a point where, like, we wanted to talk about other shit.
Yeah.
So then, you know, just before we both got COVID, we basically decided, like, hey, we should be putting more effort into trying to do something a little bit different. And I think I've been enjoying it. And it's been important, I think, this year in particular, to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like a TV show, or, you know, or an event, or going and doing something. You know, seeing people doing things like this, for me, that was big for this year.
Oh yeah, and it was pretty evident. Like, if you listen to All Things Star Wars, especially as we got into year 2, we got off on so many sidebars and started talking about that stuff more and more, where it was very obvious that we were leaning either subconsciously or intentionally into other non-Star Wars related topics.
Yeah,
and you could feel we wanted to branch off, but we obviously felt at the time kind of handcuffed to the Star Wars topics. But I think we found a good balance now.
And you know, as much as I know Bronco Fett's still disappointed of not doing the Summer of Legends,
we did a half summer of Legends.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to COVID, I think this summer was not nearly as legendary as we would have liked. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with this, and it's been good. It's been something to look forward to every week. In a time when there's not necessarily a whole lot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that was your number 5. How about your number 4?
So my number 4 was actually, again, we're talking about the greater good, right? Of things that happened in 2020, and I think one of the big things is, you know, we're pet guys, right? You know, you have your pups. I have my pups. If you follow any of us on Instagram, you can see that how it interact. Like, we enjoy spending time with our pets and everything else.
And they're members of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day.
So this year, the fact that shelters were empty People adopted pets because they were spending so much time at home. They wanted to have companionship.
Yeah.
The shelters were cleaned out.
And that's great.
Yeah, I mean, so many of these animals that would have not otherwise had a home.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic and everything else. Is, if you're talking about good things, this is a good thing. We love our pets. I think, it's unfortunate that some end up in shelters for one reason or another, but because people were home, they had this opportunity to find some companionship with a pet. And yeah, think of all those people that are otherwise, all those animals that would have otherwise been, God only knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I know I bring this up because Kathy and I we went through a point where when our dog Jessie had passed away, that we were thinking about getting a companion for Holly, our newer pup.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's 2 years old, so she's not a puppy anymore. But we had seriously considered it, and so far, like, we were going to go to shelters to see what was out there.
Sure,
there was nothing. There was no animals.
And you know what? That's a good thing.
Yeah. It was at the end of the day, it kind of highlights to us that we wanted to stay with one pup.
Yeah,
honestly, it's a lot easier.
Well, I'm sure.
But yeah, the fact that when you rolled up to a place and like, oh, we went to one place and we're closed because we don't have any animals. Yeah. Like, that's fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
That's phenomenal.
And I mean, honestly, not to dwell on the negative of this year, but I know of at least 2 confirmed suicides this year, more than likely because of the COVID restrictions, the lockdowns, and everything else. So things like this really, really help. If you've never owned a dog, growing up, we had a couple of little dogs, but they were kind of like mostly outside dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like the little fucking rat dogs. I liked them and everything, but you never got that sense of companionship. It wasn't until we got our own dogs here as adults, like our French bulldogs, that I really understood the whole man's best friend thing. You don't really realize it until you get one of your own. And as you get home, they're super excited.
Yeah.
When you get home from work, and then you sit down, they cuddle up next to you, or you go to bed. Like, I don't know if you guys let your dog sleep with you, but we do. And they cuddle up next to you and in bed at night. Mm-hmm. And there's no better feeling, man.
Yeah.
That kinship is,
And I could tell you too, that for me in particular, again, we didn't get the pup this year, but one thing I appreciated a lot more this year is because I was home and I was teleworking, and I got to spend more time with the pup, and it was like kind of became part of my routine, like to entertain her a little bit and go out, and it got me outside to do some exercising, which probably I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But it was the idea that I'm home. One thing that it's tough, and for us, like, I just retired from active duty in 2018.
Yep.
So I'm not that far removed from being an ops tempo where I was not home a lot.
Oh yeah.
And being home, I was home like that all last year was a lot of, just trying to transition into something that was going to be a little bit more permanent.
Yeah.
And, being home with the pup, it was just, it made me appreciate having, like, I have a connection with this animal that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So anyway, that was my number 4, was cleaning out the shelters, and hopefully, as things start to normalize a little bit, and those animals stay with their forever homes. But
yeah, and hopefully those animals helped the mental state of their adopted parents. So great number 4. My number 4, we're shifting to video games.
Okay.
And I know I've briefly talked about this in the past after it first happened, but Doom Eternal released in March of this year.
Yeah.
So one of the good things that came out of the coronavirus, the lockdowns and everything, was that first wave of stimulus checks. Right. We got a pretty significant amount of money from good old Uncle Sam. And I used a good portion of that, to buy a new gaming PC. And the first game that I bought, because it was brand new, it was the newest benchmark PC video game at the time, was Doom Eternal. Fuck, man, that game was awesome. So cool. And it was such a great blend of old school Doom, Gen Xers like us, who grew up on those fucking early 90s PC games, Doom being the pinnacle of that Doom changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people point to Wolfenstein. Oh, well, that was really the first person shooter. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Doom was the thing that changed everything as far as PC gaming, shooters, all of that.
I don't disagree with you. Wolfenstein, you know, if we talk about Wolfenstein, I think that's a whole nother conversation about what was going on with gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like Wolfenstein was a progressive piece into what Doom ended up being.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, Doom was like the next level of that. But I think Doom was that first sort of, if you can say, mainstream PC game in fucking 92, 93, whenever the fuck that came out, you know, when not a lot of people had computers at that point.
Because it wasn't Doom the gateway drug to like all the Quake stuff.
Oh yeah, because Quake was the next thing, and it was all about the LAN parties and you know the multiplayer and all of that. And this was long before GoldenEye on the N64 or any of that shit, you know. So, but
the dawn of the era of first-person shooter.
Yeah, and I think this Doom Eternal really captured that feel of the first Doom, with updated fucking graphics and storytelling and everything else. It was fucking beautiful. I got it on the PC, but it was out for fucking every console. You can probably play it on the new consoles now, but yeah, Doom Eternal, fantastic game.
So now that you say that, I have this machine here that we're using for the podcast. This kind of was my gaming machine that I picked up so that I could run Flight Simulator, and honestly, I used Squadrons as my baseline.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to have a machine that was versatile enough where I could play Squadrons and then still use it for work stuff.
Sure.
So, but now that you've said that, like, and you alluded to at Christmas time, like Steam has their fucking fire sale, right?
Oh yeah.
So it makes me wonder how much is Doom Eternal and fucking Steve?
I was looking, I think it's either 20 or 30 bucks right now.
It?
Yeah. So, which is far less than the $60 retail that I think I paid for it.
But I think I would love to play that on the computer.
Yes.
Because Doom, I played Doom on a computer, like Wolfenstein, Doom, those games, like to me, that's a computer game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Way more so than the console. Save the console for Call of Duty and shit like that.
All right.
Can I have another?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Open your fucking igloo of justice over there.
Indeed.
Sidebar real quick. One of the things that I got for Christmas from my father-in-law was it's a plug-in cooler. It'll hold a 6-pack, right? And it plugs in. It has a setup where you can plug it into your car or plug it in an outlet. And it works great.
Like a USB plug or
no. It's like a normal fucking 110 outlet or DC converter, so you put in a cigarette lighter.
Okay.
But I debated on whether or not to fucking bring it here in the studio. Because we've talked about for a while, like, getting a mini fridge in here, which it still has to happen.
Yeah.
So I may or may not be showing up. I'm still on the fence because I like the idea of having like a cool sixer of fucking Diet Coke right next to me while I'm working.
Oh yeah.
That could, getting up to go get a Diet Coke, at least I'm burning some calories before I fucking do that. But anyway, yeah. It was a great gift though. A little 6-pack comes. It looks like a little refrigerator like this, and it works great.
I like it. So moving on to my number 3, and this is a fairly recent thing that happened, but it was my trip to New Mexico, specifically when I got to do the stargazing.
Right.
Because over the last year and a half or so, I've really taken more of an interest in astronomy, things like that. Obviously, I'm still fairly new when it comes to all of that stuff, but one of the things that I've always wanted to see was the Milky Way from Earth in a good, stargazing setting.
Yeah, the best possible, honestly.
Yeah, and I'd never seen it before, at least that I can remember. Had to go on this work trip to New Mexico anyway, specifically because of where it is. So I took that opportunity. I talked about this about a month ago, but yeah, I actually got two good stargazing nights, but one was the best, where for well over an hour, I was just out there just fucking looking up and just being in complete awe.
Yeah.
And big thanks to Lunar Girl for setting me up with the Night Sky app.
Mhm.
She recommended that before I went out, so I got that. By the way, which was a huge hit with the guys that I was there with,
Mhm.
because as soon as I pulled that up and I'm pointing it around and pointing out constellations, they're like, "Oh fuck, I got to get this on my phone too."
Yep.
So
I use Sky Guide. That's the version I use, but they're all really good
yeah,
that are out there, especially the ones that are like augmented reality, like you're talking about, where when you hold it up, it'll tell you exactly
yeah,
what it is that you're looking at.
yeah, which is fucking awesome. And it was such a great night. And it's something that not only am I not going to forget this year, it's something I'm not going to forget for the rest of my life. This experience that I had going into New Mexico in the middle of fucking nowhere in complete fucking darkness, in such darkness where you and I, like, there was another guy that I was with. He was standing about as far from me as you were.
Mhm.
Couldn't fucking see him. Crazy dark. So good shit.
I'm super jelly. I'd love to go out to a spot like that in the high desert, and there's spots like we've talked about it, on the pod, and I still want to do it. Like in the summertime, especially go out to like the dark sky area or up by where Luna Girl lives,
Yeah.
or where Big Swede's grandparents live or whatever. There's some spots where you're getting almost as good a view as that, especially because you're up in the mountains
Yeah.
a little bit. But yeah,
well, let's do it. We'll just have to pick a day and do it.
We have yes, and we will do it.
All right. And we will do it. So that was my number 3. What about your number 3?
My number 3 is space related as well.
Oh, okay.
So for my number 3, it's about SpaceX.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The
big year for SpaceX.
The first time in a long time since the space shuttle that we had actually launched manned missions out of the United States.
Yeah.
Which, I thought about this for a minute. The Russians, we've been getting back and forth to the space station from the Russians, right? We've been sending payload rockets up, and we've still been launching things. It's not like we haven't been dormant completely.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's completely reliant on the Russians to get us to the space station. And, knock on wood.
Fuck Russia.
It's been, you know what? I'm not going to, like, you up to volume up. Anyway, the idea that we won the space race, right? And super, like, being a super space nerd and being super in the Apollo missions, and also way more into fucking space shuttle than I needed to be. The idea that we haven't done anything since like 2000, 2011, I think was the last shuttle mission, something like that. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
But to think that we went that long without actually sending somebody from the United States in a rocket made in the United States to support the human beings that are in the International Space Station, it was a huge milestone. And it was kind of the idea was helped by the fact that we launched the new Mars mission as well. So you have
the next rover we talked about it during our Mars episode.
Exactly, with the new lander and the helicopter, the fucking helicopter they're going to fly off.
Yeah, the drone. And
so when that was happening, there was like, for me, it like kind of it made a little bit of it started like this groundswell. I was like, wow, like let me pay a little bit more attention to what's going on, so that when the manned missions had come up, it was must see TV for me.
Yeah.
And the beauty of what we have with the internet now is like you can go to NASA.gov or go to NASA's fucking YouTube channel. They got everything.
Yeah.
Like, you can watch everything fucking live. You don't have to wait for fucking CBS or one of the big 3 broadcasters like you did with the shuttle launches.
Yeah, I hope your teacher wheels in that fucking TV into the classroom.
Or if it's a night launch, staying up late enough to see a night launch, or if it was even on TV. So the fact that we have it's so accessible right now, and I think what we're seeing is the beginning. We're seeing the beginning of our, not necessarily the next space race, but us stretching our legs to get to Mars.
Yeah.
And actually making progress down that line. Because quite frankly, aside from the space station, which is an amazing machine, like 100%, probably one of the most complicated machines ever built. and the fact that it's still in orbit 20 years, we celebrated 20 years of the International Space Station this year as well.
Mhm.
So the idea that this thing is still going, we're still putting people in it, and we're sending new launched vehicles up. It's fantastic, but the idea, like, it's been since 1972, since 73. What was the last one? Oh, fuck. My brain sucks. But since the 70s, it was right before I was born, was the last moon landing.
Right, which we had talked about this before. There's a whole documentary out there about the final Apollo mission.
Yeah, which I haven't seen yet. I have to fucking see that.
Yeah. I think right now they're charging for it. Like, you have to
Oh,
pay.
are they?
Yeah. So when it hits Netflix, like on the free side, then we can
Right, exactly.
watch it, review it.
72. I think that's what I said. Anyway. But yeah, so think that it's been that long. Basically my entire lifetime since we've really gotten away from, our planet.
Yeah.
And out of low Earth orbit. So yeah, the SpaceX, the Mars mission, like all this stuff is now, it started to light the fire that people are getting into it again.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking at the science and they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's big and they're getting ambitious. Elon even said something to the effect of, like, he thinks we could put a person on Mars by like 22, which that seems super ambitious. I don't know about that, but
listen, it's with its current technology, the way it is today. I mean, yeah, you're breaking a lot of new ground, but they're not encountering the barriers that like the Apollo missions had to encounter.
Oh, sure.
Like, they didn't even have the idea of a rocket. Like, they had to basically invent from scratch a rocket that would be able to move the payload to be able to get to a position where they could potentially get to the moon and write the code. Like, how does this computer, this system that is, computers are still a brand new thing, all these lines of code to be able to read a gimbal setting, to be able to tell you where this capsule is in space to make sure it's on the appropriate trajectory to go.
Right, because space is big. Space is fucking huge.
Yeah. Relevant sidebar to this anyway. But so if you haven't followed him already, if you're into the space shit, follow Chris Hadfield. He's a Canadian, but he was on the
fuck Canada.
Yeah, fuck you, buddy. He was on the shuttle mission. He's been in the International Space Station, came back on the Soyuz. He was one of the guys who was really, really on social media a lot while he was in the space station. Took a lot of pictures, did a lot of like screen time,
which I would do.
Yeah,
like if that was me, fuck yeah.
And the Japanese astronaut that's on there right now, his YouTube channel, and unfortunately it's in Japanese, so I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah,
but he's on there like every day. He did something with like Christmas dinner or something. It was like chicken versus chicken. They had like the canned chicken. Can't understand a word of it. But apparently he's a fucking laugh riot.
Nice.
Yeah, Chris Hadfield. I just watched while I was sitting on the can yesterday. I watched a TED talk that he did, talking about basically risk, and what is not being risk averse, but like basically.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the board game Risk. I'm like, all right,
No,
go on.
That's a whole other conversation. No, talking about just risk in general, like
Australia. Take Australia.
The acceptance of risk and how you can train yourself to like, okay, this fear versus risk and like how you can mitigate against it. It's a 15-minute TED talk. Look for it. Chris Hadfield. It's actually really good.
Nice.
But the guy's really well spoken. I'd love to do his masterclass. Like, that masterclass thing that's like you see ads for on a computer all the time.
Oh yeah.
That would be one that I'd like to do. Although I think it's probably outside of my, like, the orbital mechanics and stuff like that he talks about. I don't know that I can understand it to that level, but it would still be interesting as all fuck.
Oh sure. Nice.
Yeah. Space.
All right. The Final Frontier. So that was your number 3.
Yes.
How about your number 2?
So my number 2 is, coming back to the more personal thing. It's related to the pup, and being at home with the dog has kind of not only made my connection with my dog that much better, but also with my wife. Like, we're going out and going adventuring with taking the dog out on a hike and doing stuff like that and getting outside has been fucking great. And the sad part is for me that I wish that this is something we have been doing for years.
Mm-hmm.
Why it took so long, I guess, however life gives it to you, like you kind of have to take it at the moment.
I mean, you could say that about so many
I
things
know,
that happened
I
in the
know.
wake of COVID. Like, why weren't we fucking teleworking? Why weren't we doing all this other shit?
Yeah.
This whole fucking time. Nah, dude, you're fucking right.
Yeah, and so going out and just taking a dog out for a fucking hike and going out to random places and taking pictures and enjoying the outdoors, enjoying each other's company. It's been fucking great.
And see, that's that's part of my honorable mentions, right? Is the quarantining with Kristen, because going into this, legitimately, I just kind of assumed if this is going to last a while, this is going to be bad.
Right.
Like, we're going to be at each other's fucking throats. It's going to be fucking chaos. It's going to lead to fucking divorce, all this other stuff. But it was the exact opposite with me and Kristen. And clearly it was the same thing with you and Kathy. You know, I thought being cooped up at home all fucking day with this person, eventually we're going to start like fucking throwing punches and just be like, fuck you, fuck you. But it was completely different than what I expected. So yeah, I would imagine you guys are going through the same thing.
Yeah, and I didn't have Kathy's been working the whole time. You know, she's in the dental field. Their offices have been open.
Yeah,
you know, thankfully, and for the most part. And so it hasn't been that as much, but like the time that we are home, it's like, okay, the weekends are for us. You know, what are we going to do? Like, no lodge bullshit, none of this. Let's fucking put something on the calendar and just go fucking do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really, really good, and it's been healthy. It's just a healthy thing to do. And like you said, if you're talking about things that are good coming out of COVID, and it really makes you wonder why. You ask yourself that question, like, why can't I do this? Like, if you're looking at something like, oh no, I don't have time for that. Like, why?
Yeah.
What do you really have time for? And I mean, you talk about being busy. I mean, I think I make myself the fucking busiest person on the fucking.
I know that.
You know, entirely too busy, but forcing myself to make that time, and also appreciating the time that I do have to just fucking sit there and play a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, all right, could I be doing something right now? Absolutely, I could.
Yeah, but there is a benefit to just vegging out and fucking playing a video game for a couple hours too.
Yeah, and that's been, but going out and hiking, and you know, even Kathy gets excited, you know, getting a new pair of hiking shoes, you know, so we can go out and do more challenging stuff. It's been fun,
and that's good because, again, as Gen Xers, right? Guys who've been married for 15 plus years, I'm just going to fucking say it. Things get kind of stale sometimes, right? You know, you fucking see the same person, you go through the same fucking routine day after day after day.
right?
Things get stale, you get complacent. Then we get forced into the situation where not only are you kind of forced to see this person every day, you know, you got to figure out new things to do together and go hiking and do other shit. And you kind of like have this revelation. It's like, fuck, that's right. I fucking love this person. You know,
right.
I love spending fucking time with this person. I miss those days where, you know, it was just us, you know, before we started having kids and everything else. And
I'll tell you, you know, as somebody who has an empty nest, that, you know, obviously empty nest is relative, right? But
sure,
the fact that we don't have to like dote on kids and see and basically manage their lives. Once you're outside of that, you can just be like, okay, this is it's life 2.0.
Yeah.
And you're going to get there quicker than you want to, unfortunately. But when you do get there, it's important to be like, okay, like we want to, like one of our things we want to do is we want to get an RV and like,
nice,
and do like little RV trips. Nothing crazy, but if we wanted to go cross country, that'd be fucking great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, you know, that over to the fucking horizon projection out there and doing it. But here's the thing. Make plans, because it's always good to have something on the calendar to fucking work towards. You know, from a mental health perspective, I know for me, it's always been really, really important to have goals and have plans.
Yes.
Because then at least you know you're working towards something.
Right. I live my life by plans and goals. So
because once you know something's palatable and attainable, then it makes it a lot easier to fucking keep moving forward to it.
Yeah.
But the trick to that is don't do it so far in advance. Like, oh, you know what? That's going to take this. It's going to take too long to get there.
Mm.
You make a plan, say, oh, let's go do this in fucking 2022. Like, okay, well, why can't we do that in 2021? Right? Money is something that's fleeting, and you don't spend to the point where you're unsafe. But if you have the means to fucking do something sooner, you should do it sooner.
Yeah,
you might not get tomorrow. That's the whole thing, and
that is a fantastic segue into my number 2.
Nice,
because my number 2, you and I both got COVID, and your COVID probably came from me. Like,
dude,
full disclosure,
100% came from me.
So either way, we both got COVID back in June/July. And the big thing that came out of that was, for me, this, I don't know, new lease on life, right? Because I talked about it at length. Go back and listen to the All Things Star Wars podcast where we talked about how we had fucking COVID, where I literally thought this thing was going to fucking kill me. There was a period of about 36 hours where every fucking minute I'm thinking, this thing is going to kill me. Like, if this gets any worse than it is right now, I might be fucking dead soon.
Mm-hmm.
So when your mind goes there, you start thinking about shit and you're like, why the fuck have I been wasting all of this time doing so much stupid bullshit or worrying about stupid bullshit, especially work, right?
Yeah.
You and I, we've come from an environment where we've let work just take over our whole fucking lives, right? And that's been our priority. That's the thing that's important. Like, fuck, we can't let this thing, fall to the wayside.
Right.
Where at the end of the day,
everything's been a no-fail mission.
Yeah.
Like, for decades.
Mm-hmm. And we were so programmed to think and feel that way, where it's like, fuck, how much have I wasted having that mindset? And my number 2 is my recovery from COVID and this whole new outlook on life that I've had ever since. Going all the way to getting back into the gym, getting super fucking healthy, to doing the shit that I've wanted to do my whole fucking life, but I've never made the time to do. I've always made fucking excuses. Oh, I'm too busy. Right. Oh, whatever. The fucking piano. I've always wanted to play the piano. I finally got around to actually carving out the time, because I always had it. I always had the fucking time, but I also had plenty of excuses.
Right.
Whereas when you're basically realize that tomorrow is not guaranteed, that at any fucking moment, some bullshit like this could fucking happen and it could all be gone.
Yeah.
You fucking realize, like, fuck, how much time have I wasted in the last 43 years? So for me, it was the entire recovery process, the entire post-COVID, forcing myself. Like, if I went back and I looked at my fucking workout journal, because every single day that I work out, I log it. Mm-hmm. Like, I was working out like less than a week after getting my fucking positive COVID test. Granted, I was sick like before that, but either way, I forced myself to start lifting and going to the gym again. I forced myself to start running, and then I forced myself to start taking shit seriously and doing the shit that I've always wanted to fucking do and always made excuses to not do it. Playing the piano, playing the guitar, spending more time with Kristen, being more productive in life in general. And yeah, the whole post-COVID mindset that I've had, living life, right? Like, living life like there is no tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's been kind of my motto since fucking July, is tomorrow's not guaranteed. Live your fucking life. Don't make excuses. Don't let fucking work drive your whole life.
Yeah, there's a book that I've talked about before, talking about stoicism. And that is a lot of the Stoic mindset, is that death is going to come for you whether you're ready for it or not.
Yeah.
So don't make excuses, be ready. Like, the day may be your last, and you need to be able to look at yourself and go, like, did I make the most of this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy. And even with COVID, and unfortunately, with a lot of the medical issues I've had over the past years, it's that stuff has come up more often than I care to admit.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is that but I have to keep fighting that struggle. That like even today with the work bullshit that occupied me to the point where I was like, you know what, this is the hard stop, because Kate's going to be out of commission and you're not going to be able to do this, and the weather's not going to be right. This is the moment. This is the moment. You got to fucking go do it right now, and then adjust and deal with the consequences. So, and you have to be willing to do that. Otherwise you're going to. For me, it's very, very easy to get wrapped up in a lot of those other things, because from a mental health perspective, when you're battling depression and all these other things, you end up getting and busying yourself with so much other things, so you don't necessarily have to deal with your own reality.
Right.
And recognizing it, and sometimes you can't. It is what it is, and you go to bed and you try again tomorrow. And I think that's something that has carried me. Getting COVID for me, as far as similar to you with the reset button, a lot of that, the isolation inside my little world. I mean, I fight other stuff. I still can't go into stores. It's not just a fear of COVID. I have other issues,
sure,
PTSD related issues and stuff like that. So those things are still there, but the isolation inside of that was at a point where it was like, I need to be able to at least go and venture and go do something with the dog and Kathy, and go and still be able to live, be able to go and exercise and look up. Like you said, like big thing is looking up and looking at this amazingness. I tried to get you to see the moon today as I was driving in, but the fucking trees were in the way.
I tried.
Just appreciating those things in the moment. It'll give you perspective, and sometimes that perspective is what you need to make tomorrow better.
Yeah.
If you don't do it today, recognize you didn't do it today, and then try again tomorrow.
But just always in the back of your mind, remember, tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. Especially, I hate to say it, as we're getting older. Fucking people our age have been known to just drop dead.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks. It's scary. It is what it is, though. So, we're not in our fucking 20s anymore. We need to appreciate what we have. And again, my goal is still to make 90. That's the end game for me. If I make 90, every fucking day that I wake up is going to be like, fuck yeah, I made it again. Another fucking day. So
you'd be saying that, and be like eating his applesauce, like meh, 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 trying to form words.
Yeah,
you'll have made it.
I'll take it. So, oh, and yes, Nick, I'm working on it. So, ready for our number ones?
Yes.
All right, my number one. So, after what we said with my number two probably should have been my number one,
right?
Because now my number one's probably going to seem kind of silly, but my number one thing of 2020. Mandalorian season 2, dude.
Yeah.
With everything that's happened in the Star Wars universe over the last few years, with The Last Jedi, we've talked that to fucking death. Rise of Skywalker, I still enjoyed. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They did what they could do. They basically had to course correct in a very short period of time. It is what it is.
Yeah. Go tune into the All Things Star Wars podcast episodes, probably around 140 or whatever.
Oh, even before that.
Yeah. Our documentarian style of talking about the sequel trilogy it's out there for everyone to hear.
So, but yeah, starting with The Last Jedi, the water was poisoned a little bit, and even though, I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker, the hurt was still there from Last Jedi. So Mandalorian, though, has really started to heal those wounds. And season 2 was so fucking good. The only episode in the entire season that was just kind of subpar, just kind of, there was the second episode of the season where it was all about the fucking frog lady and, Grogu eating her fucking eggs and all that.
That was
it was just an okay episode. Kind of uncomfortable at times too.
the fucking spiders, man. Fuck those spiders.
Oh yeah, the spiders.
Fuck those spiders.
But otherwise, season 2 of The Mandalorian was so fucking good, and it was great for Star Wars fans like us, the Gen Xers, the guys who grew up on fucking Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, had all these expectations, disappointed by the prequels, disappointed by the sequels. Mandalorian, I think, finally started to reconcile a lot of those issues that we had, and it was great.
And let's face it, it took Gen Xers to do it.
Yeah, it's fucking Filoni and Favreau, right?
Took 2 Gen Xers to fucking go in there and be like, okay, let's go ahead and let's make something that will. What a huge risk.
Yeah,
think about it. 2020, like when we talked about The Mandalorian, the end of 19, and we looked at 2020, and there was a sense of there was a little bit of fear there because they had so far to fall.
Yeah,
like it was so well received, and you're like, oh my god, what if it's not? What if it doesn't live up to these expectations? And they stepped up, and it did. It gave us. Unfortunately, it took most of the fucking year to get there. But once it started, and it gave us as Star Wars fans, and let's face it, if you weren't, there were some people, the casuals, as we call them, the casuals that were just watching The Mandalorian because it was the Baby Yoda show.
Yeah. And that's fine.
They continued to watch and accept the show through season 2.
Yeah.
Even though season 2 placated a lot to us.
Oh yeah, with the introduction of Bo-Katan and fucking Ahsoka,
Boba
Fett, yeah.
It's like, yes, this was something that, let's face it, Disney Plus is built around this show because that's what people are fucking.
It's their flagship.
They're getting the subscription for.
It's all they have at this point.
Yeah, and it's been great. It really has. Kathy still has to, she's mad at me because we haven't sat down and watched the rest of season 2 yet.
Well, I put that on you at this point.
It is. It's a timing thing.
Yeah.
Because the nights it's.
Okay, remember what we talked about?
Look, if I want to sit there and fucking play video games because my brain's not right to sit there to enjoy The Mandalorian, I don't want to sit there and not enjoy it.
Okay,
sit there
I'll give you that.
Just for the fact that I'm sitting there. Like, the timing's got to be right. The mood. You got to set the mood. You got to set the lights. It's got to be right.
All right, I'll give you that.
When will then be now?
Soon. All right, so that was my number 1. Was Mandalorian season 2. Fucking flawless.
Yep. I will say that The Mandalorian did make my honorable mention.
Good. Well done, Favreau and Filoni. You guys are fucking awesome. Keep doing what you're doing with the fucking 4 shows now that you're producing from here on out. That's a tall order to fill.
Oh.
We'll see what happens.
Well, if there's a lot of crossover, then you don't have to build a lot of different sets, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm expecting and hoping for is this new shared universe between these 4 fucking concurrent shows.
Right.
And, so many possibilities.
Yeah. Something definitely it was good about 2020, and we're looking forward for 2021.
Yeah, indeed. So that being said, we're down to you. Your number 1.
My number 1 is it comes back to the more personal thing. So my number 1 is actually my new job.
Oh, yeah.
It's not new now, but it was kind of new for me for 2020.
Sure.
So and it's a tough thing to bring up for 2020, right? Because there's a lot of people that are not employed.
Right. And Kristen and I were just having this conversation today, actually. People like us have been very fortunate in these times to still have employment, to still have regularly coming paychecks and everything else. So,
yeah. So I say this with all humility, but when I retired from the Air Force in 2018, I had the goal that I had set is to get some sort of government job, like a GS series job, in a particular price range or pay range. Price, yeah, selling my soul. And that was the goal, because the idea of Life 2.0, right? Go from this, start a second career, so that when that retirement is done, that's it.
Yeah.
Like here's income streams from my service in active duty, and now as a civilian. That's the goal.
Oh yeah.
Right, for me. And when I retired in 2018, trying to just get a job ended up being the goal, because those jobs just weren't out there. My resume, I hadn't finished my degree yet, like all these things. So when I got the contractor gig, and met Nick and got into the squadron I'm in now, that kind of was the gateway to the idea, not the idea, but the opportunity to get this job. And the fact that I got it was just like, it didn't hit me, like, because when I got this job, it was like February going in, like it was in February, like going into March, like, so, okay, here's when you're going to in-dock and everything else. And oh, by the way, everything's shut down.
Yeah.
So I had to do I was part of the first virtual fucking, here's the hiring process as we're doing it virtually, like, and just by the nature of what was going on in the pandemic. But that reality of like, this is it. This is that stepping stone. And whatever happens after this happens. If I leave government service and go back into regular job out there some down the line, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But by getting this job, I had to put a fucking stamp on, boom, all right, this job requires you to have your fucking degree finished. So get off your fucking ass and get your goddamn degree finished. So
yep.
I managed to get my degree finished.
Yeah.
And,
which is huge.
And I've now, it was safely, nothing's ever safe, but having that feeling of just like, this is getting that thing. So now I don't have to worry. I don't have to keep looking. That this is like, this is the track I'm going to be on for the next 2 decades, then perfect. This is where I wanted to start from. And now I'm getting a chance to do it, because everything starts from somewhere, right? Our military career started and ended in completely different places.
Well, not so much for me, but
not geographically. But
we'll talk about that at another episode.
Different career fields and things like that. Me coming as a traditional guard guy and ended up retiring active duty.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting to that point and then being able to start this other thing. I'm immensely grateful for that. And the fact that it came in during this year, I don't know. It just, I have to look at it as honestly, it's the best thing that happened this year.
Yeah. And I totally understand that, because at the end of the day, even though we talked about like not letting your job dictate your life and be the predominant force in your head, we still got to pay our bills.
Yeah.
Right. Your wives aren't going to fuck you if you're a fucking bum,
living in a van down by the river.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, if you're going to work, you should be doing something that you want to be doing.
Right.
And having the idea that I can sit there and look into the future and not have necessarily that particular worry. Now I'm going to.
Oh,
I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I'm a human being that tends to fucking take all these inputs and try and calculate every potential output.
Mm-hmm.
So that occupies a lot of my bandwidth.
Yeah, you're not one of those human beings that can just like let things go and just kind of be cool about it and just kind of.
I'm not good like that. But in the moment, as we're talking about right now, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity that I got.
Right, because at the end of the day, yeah, we're very fortunate in the positions that we're in.
Indeed.
In this global pandemic. So I still have some honorable mentions that I want to get to, but we have some very important business that has to be taken care of first. So we will be right back after this word from our sponsors.
Again, free snaps. Why are you giving free snaps?
Oh, I gotta write this shit down. 144.21.
Nick, I don't do it for money, but I need the money to do it. All right. These pops aren't going to buy themselves.
Oh god.
Well, you're a couple beers ahead of me. That's the Sacred Pops. So nice. Anyway, who we got left? Who's still in? Got six folks. 6 folks. Make sure you are all 6 of you smashing that like button, dude. So Big Swede's in here, and he's got a couple YouTube channels. I was watching a YouTuber, and good on. He's fuck, I can't think of the name of the dude. He followed us on Instagram. I gave him a follow back and subscribed to him on his YouTube channel. But I'm looking at it, and I'm super stoked that there's like such an ability for people to get out there and content create. But at the same time, like some of the numbers that I see people pulling down are like, how do you get that number of views? And we had a couple of ATSW YouTubes that there were like reaction stuff that had gotten a significant amount. It just hit that sweet spot.
So you know how I bought that big bottle of Jaeger, right?
Uh-huh.
So I keep it in the freezer because you only drink Jaeger when it's like that ice cold. So I've been keeping it in the freezer. That's where it goes. That's its spot, its home. Because Kristen now works at Costco, she's been stockpiling stuff, right? She's been stocking up, and both of our freezers, we have a fucking deep freezer, like a big deep freezer, and we also have the freezer connected to our fridge, all completely filled. And she informed me last week. She's like, "Oh yeah, I had to take your Jägermeister out of the fucking freezer, and it's just over on the bar now." I'm like, "Well, what the fuck? What? Now I can't fucking drink it because that's the only way to drink Jaeger."
See, this
is when it's frozen.
This is another reason why we need to have a refrigerator in here.
Yeah, because even if we get a mini fridge, it still should have the little freezer compartment at the top. So we keep a thing of Jaeger up there.
Yeah, that way when the moment so strikes you that you can go in there and do it.
And I do love doing Jaeger shots.
Yeah, that's crazy person.
One thing that has never gotten old, as I've gotten old, Jaeger shots has not gotten old.
Yeah, it has for me.
Yeah,
but that's also like I imagine that there is a counter, right, on your liver and everything else, right?
Oh, geez.
And as you drink over some point, is eventually that counter like reaches the point where it's like, okay, this is up. This is how many you get.
Is that the whole? There's only so many like beats that your heart has.
Beats and everything else. Yeah. I mean, I believe that the filter that is your fucking liver and kidneys, there's a counter there. I hit my F limit on the fucking Jaeger bombs because that's what I was doing, fucking Jaeger bombs like a champ for a long time with the fucking Red Bull and everything else.
Oh yeah,
holy fuck, I can't anymore. Like that's it. Like the counter is up, and like now you can imagine the fucking pilots of this fucking meat mech that I'm sitting in are going like, nope, burnt, hit the fucking alarm button when it's that green bottle comes popping out.
Oh, that's a whole other conversation to be had later on down the line. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Do you need to piss?
I'm okay right now.
All right, well then give me another 30 seconds and we'll resume.
30 seconds right now.
And we're back. So, honorable mentions. I have a few things that I wanted to bring up before we bring this podcast to a close. Some other good things that happened in 2020. For me, the biggest honorable mention that I have is new friends. New friends that we've met or that I've met through either you or the podcast or both. And as I was writing this out, it's all kind of wrapped into one. It was like the podcast and you, and it's, for me, it's people like Big Swede, Nick,
Right.
who I met through you, basically. And then Luna Girl and Dragon Buddy, who we met through you, through Nick, through the podcast. So new people that I've been exposed to that I would now consider friends, right? Be it Big Swede, Luna Girl, Dragon Buddy. Great people. I am so glad that you got that job with Nick and that exposed us to this whole new clique of people, because that's been a huge part of my 2020.
Yeah.
Are these new folks that I've been exposed to.
It's funny too. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds of getting a job in a completely random fucking squadron on the base? Like, had no affiliation with before whatsoever, and getting hired as a contractor with another fucking Star Wars fanatic.
Yeah.
You know,
guy who has Star Wars tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Has fucking Maul,
Yep.
got Palpatine, got fucking Revan.
Great collection of Star Wars goodies and everything else. Yeah.
And honestly, it's because of Nick, because of Big Swede, that I eventually made my appointment with the, Tatooine body art,
Right.
who then referred me to my artist who left that place, but is still kind of close. All of these tattoos done by that person that eventually leads back to Nick / Big Swede.
Yep.
So yeah, these new associations, these new friendships are fucking awesome. And yeah, I didn't want to really talk about it, but there are some things in the works that Big Swede asked me to do that's coming. I won't talk about it until it's done, but yeah, man, good shit. And at this age, at this stage in our lives, being exposed to new people and making new friends, it's very rare.
Yeah.
It
is. Like, the circles tend to get smaller usually.
Yeah.
That's how it
Yeah, for
happens.
sure. So what about you? Any big honorable mentions?
I just Dutch, aka Helmet Fire, another content creator, somebody who I work with
Mhm.
back in the squadron, who said eccentrics have their own gravity, we clump together, which is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Honorable mention. So I wish I could say these are mine. Well, one of them is, but I'll say this one. So when I asked I mentioned how Kathy and my father-in-law, I'd asked them, like, what were yours? And the thing my wife brought up was just the ingenuity of people, like, throughout the pandemic and throughout this year. Like, so, like, an example is how making the outdoor dining work, and like how can you make your business still function and meet these criteria. The proms, like these virtual proms, and having
Or the fucking schools, right?
just,
How these kids are doing these fucking virtual schools.
Give me a second on that. But we talk about the virtual proms, these birthday parades and stuff like that for kids that, like, usually would have, like, hey, it's your 7th birthday or something like that, and they'd have a thing where you get to have friends over, stuff like that. And you can't do that. But then, like, certain neighborhoods, I know in ours it was fairly frequent where, hey, drive a fire truck down the road to stop at somebody's house and kind of have a little birthday thing. There's like a togetherness, like, and a cohesiveness that was built in some neighborhoods that was like, okay, even though we can't, like, we're kind of stuck here in this situation, like, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
And there's been some fairly ingenious things. The fact that you go to Walmart come this spring when all this shit was happening, you couldn't find a bike, a board game, a fucking puzzle. Like, people were figuring out how to go outside and enjoy their little space outside, and if they're inside, do something together, play a fucking board game.
Yeah, and it's still hard to find gym equipment
I believe
in
it.
stores.
Totally believe it. So yeah, just that. Here's my bit on the school thing. I don't have kids that are in the school. Okay.
Yeah.
I can only go by what people have told me, like, that have younger kids.
Mhm.
In general, I think that this has been a horrific experience for the kids.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
I can't see it as any positive. Like, if the Zoom technology and the technology that's there for us to be enabled to telework and do the things that we can do to still earn a livelihood, those are all great.
Mhm.
Kids in general, I think, have been kicked in the nuts because they're not necessarily that's not their learning style,
Right.
right? They're not going to do well.
And it's not just the learning style, it's the social aspect.
Yeah.
Like at that age, you need that fucking human contact.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas at our advanced age, we're perfectly fine with fucking not seeing another human being.
Which is fucking ironic too, because like a couple of introverts that like really didn't want to have to deal with people when we were fucking growing up, like, but we can recognize that, yeah, we need that social construct.
Yeah.
When we're children to be able to function as adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the kids have gotten completely screwed.
Oh yeah, they've gotten the shaft big time.
And teachers to that same effect, like, you know, my next door neighbor is a teacher. She retired because of this, because it just got to a point where trying to manage a classroom given the technological constraints, because hey, listen, we have this technology that we can do our shit with because we work for the government. Right? The government has a certain amount of money that's going to be dedicated to making the government continue to work. So we bear the benefit of that.
Yeah.
A school district that you pay taxes into didn't get like a bunch of extra fucking money. Well, they probably got some grant money, but they're not, you know, flooding the place with like, okay, here's some server space. Here's a subscription to AWS so you can be able to run all this cloud-based shit.
Right.
Like the idea that IT in local schools, like elementary schools, like who in a primary school, like a grade 1, is thinking that, okay, we're going to need to have all this fucking server-based technology to be able to communicate with kids and to be able to hold their attention. It's just not. That's, I think at the end of this, whatever we get to the other side of this pandemic, I think the ones that are going to hurt the worst are going to be the kids. And I'm hopeful that, you know, we like, as things do, given how horrific the scenario is, things normalize, and you hope that they normalize and actually come back, and we figure out how to still make things good.
Right. And that's the hope leading into 2021, right?
Right.
Can we just get back to fucking normal? The way things were for the past 44 years, you know, can we get back to that instead of this bullshit that happened in 2020?
Well, see, that brings up an interesting point, right? Because so we're Gen Xers, right? You're talking about, we went from, when I was in grade school, we were still doing fucking nuclear readiness drills.
Oh yeah.
So we were living in an environment in the 80s where the idea of nuclear death was prevalent.
Yeah.
So much so that you, as a child in fucking primary school, you knew what this was, and you knew what the end result would be. So, especially like for me, I grew up in fucking, I could see Philadelphia from my fucking property. Like, you know, goddamn well what's going to happen. You know, if that, like, year before, it was year before, I was still active duty. I was at a school. Right. And they bring fucking veterans into school, whatever, to ask questions. And I'm in this fucking classroom, and I had a fucking kid ask me, from where we are right now, will we survive a nuclear blast? The fucking kid asked me this, like, in the middle of class. I'm like, wow.
Like, what do you say?
So I was like, well, I mean, we're this far away, and we're in all concrete structures, so you probably would survive the initial blast. Like that. Like, what am I going to do? Lie to this kid?
That's
like,
tough
to come out with that type of statement that he could probably fucking Google and find the answer anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, we grew up in that, survived that. That became normalized, and we have progressed into what we have now. And I think the same thing will happen, right? Well, the pandemic is going to be a horrific fucking speed bump in our timelines. But that's what it'll be. I mean, it'll be history like anything else, and hopefully we're not in a post-apocalyptic fucking Fallout New Vegas type scenario.
Right. So for me, like, besides the other honorable mention that we brought up before, where, you know, being quarantined with Kristen, thinking that this is going to be a bad situation, and it ended up being complete the opposite, where it brought us closer together. The last honorable mention I had was also one of the more ironic when it comes to our perspective, was my dad's visit, right?
Huh.
My dad coming out from California, my dad and my stepmom. And it was great, but obviously it led to both myself and you contracting the fucking coronavirus. So it's the only reason why this didn't make my top 5, because of the aftermath of this whole thing. But at the end of the day, it was still, me getting to see my dad again.
Yeah.
Which, so for everybody out there, most human beings, at least in this fucking country, if you want to see your dad, you can drive down the road, drive to the next town, whatever. You can see your dad, you can see your mom, you can do whatever. Me, that's not the case, right? Because of my military obligation and the fact that this is where I ended up in New Jersey. My entire family is in California. That's a privilege for me. Like getting to see my mother and my father.
Right.
It's a big deal. Like, because they're not just right around the corner.
Right.
They're not right there. Getting to see either of my parents or any of my family, my brother, my sister, that's a rarity for me. And this whole thing comes up really around Christmas time too. Like when fucking Christmas Day came, I got really fucking depressed because at the end of the day, I still think back to these days with my parents and my mom and, seeing my family on Christmas, but whatever. Got to see my dad in June of this year. Sadly, that was also the catalyst that, caused myself and you to get the coronavirus. But for that brief period of time, that small period of time where, I wasn't sick and I actually got to spend some good quality time with my dad, it was great.
Yeah, you went out and saw that cool World War I village. And got the fucking tick on the end of your dick.
I did. Yeah. And we went out to fucking Wildwood and we did the whole Jersey Shore thing and we did so much. And then at the end of the day too, like I talked about it on the show before, but we played the Wii golf, right? That was the thing that really brought me and my dad together, because honestly, he and I don't have that much in common. So this was the thing that really brought the two of us together. Was he's always been a big real golfer.
Right.
The only golf I could ever do was like video game golf. And this thing brought us together and it was great. And for that first like 4 or 5 days while they were here, it was fucking fantastic. We got to do all kinds of stuff together. And then one by one, people were starting to get sick and everything else and whatever. But still, at the end of the day, seeing my dad and my stepmom Debbie was still a great highlight of my year. The aftermath of that visit, well, kind of.
Everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah,
everything happens for a reason. That's whether that's true or not. Wow, my phone is recording and typing.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, the aftermath of that was us getting sick and having these experiences, post that. But yeah, it happened. Everything happened for a reason, and at least I feel you on, as somebody who basically is living where I grew up.
Yeah,
I moved around a little bit, but the reality is that I've spent most of my life in the same area, and it has its goods and it has its bads.
Right. We've had those offline conversations.
Yes. But I think when you talk about just traveling in general and recognizing what a privilege that is, we were at a place pre-pandemic that airline travel wasn't so expensive where it was that prohibitive. You could get a relatively inexpensive flight, and even just driving to places, like especially on the East Coast, because there's, you drive 8 to 10 hours in California, you're still in California, right?
Right.
But if you drive 8 to 10 hours around here, you crossed 5 or 6 different states.
Yeah, and you and I are in a very fortunate spot where we are. We're so close to everything.
Yeah, we're right in the heart of everything. It's a few hour drive away. We don't even have to think about flying. But yeah, I think at the end of this, what I'm really hoping, is that whatever the airline industry comes to the other side of this and goes like, okay, people remember what a privilege traveling is and having that opportunity, and it doesn't get completely molested to the point where it's untenable for anybody. I think everybody has to understand that what's happening now there's going to be fallout.
Oh, sure.
We're still in nuclear explosion, as it were, and we're still waiting for the fallout that's going to happen. And
Yeah, and I'm trying not to think about that right now
we're
because
trying to be in our happy places and stuff like that. But preparedness is a mark of a smart human. So, but I think in that level of preparedness, you have to think, when we can travel again, this is how we're going to travel safely.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to be able to do and not miss. Like, I don't really feel like going to this fucking relatives thing. Not really interested. I don't feel like doing it or whatever. You're probably going to do it because you realize, like, fuck, what if something gets loose again and we can't fucking do it? So it's a great perspective to have. And, I consider myself fortunate where I don't necessarily have to worry about the tyranny of distance like you do for family. But
yeah. So that's my message to you and all of the people out there. Like, appreciate what you have. Just remember, not all of us can just, drive for 10 minutes and go see mom and dad or brother and sister or whoever.
So I have one last honorable mention.
Okay, let's hear it.
And I don't want this to come off the wrong way.
Okay.
But the fact that we haven't been commuting, it has had a positive impact on the environment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't consider myself a tree hugger in any sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I have an idea of what waste is.
Yeah.
And you have a electric car, which is, going to lessen your carbon footprint.
It's my attempt, right?
Yeah.
There's only so much we can do.
Right. You fucking recycle when you can recycle.
Yeah.
You pay attention to try and eliminate waste. But I sit back and I think about things that are going to come good out of 2020. And you got to imagine that the environmental impact that has been the pandemic is going to be good for the overall. Like, with any luck, it'll be a trend that people can fucking jump on and be like, okay, this is what we're looking at from the science, right? And how do we continue along the same line? How do we lessen our dependence on fossil fuels and all the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what you believe or what you don't believe, the reality is that fossil fuels, look at your tailpipe.
Right, and that's the thing.
Produces something.
Whenever I get into this discussion with anybody, you talk about climate change, global warming, whatever. At the end of the day, it's all about the fucking pollution, right? Like, do you want to go stick your face in front of a fucking tailpipe of a car and breathe for a couple of minutes? I don't, because that's not going to be good for me.
All right.
So I don't give a shit about climate change, global warming, all that. I care about air pollution. I care about air pollution, fucking sea pollution, all that stuff. That's the shit that we need to be focused on.
Yeah. Give these kids that are developing those microbes that are eating plastic and getting that island in the ocean smaller.
Yeah.
Dude, fucking sidebar. It was on the news, but they were talking about basically these giant holes that form in the ocean, like these basically water style, hurricanes in the water, where you get this huge fucking drain looking thing that's in the middle of this
I have not heard this, and that sounds horrifying.
So we were watching, I was watching something or saw it on YouTube. There was actually somebody was talking about this, in the ocean, where if the current's just right, you start getting this fucking cyclonic effect in the ocean. And when you look at it from above, it looks like basically a giant fucking drain in the ocean.
Or an asshole.
Yeah, depending on how high up you are, I guess, and how big your asshole is.
No comment, but go ahead.
We'll take awkward silences, meaning it's about that diameter. Anyway.
Well, you got to start with a small plug and never mind. What? Nothing.
We'll debunk any fucking porn myths here in a later episode. But no, I fucking saw one of those. John and I, we're on a fucking flight over the Indian Ocean, and we saw one of these fucking things, and it was it was one of those things where when you see it, you can't like believe it.
Mhm.
You just can't believe that it's a real thing.
Right.
And we're like 370, and we're looking down over the Indian Ocean. I think we're going into Diego, and I'm sitting I'm on the right side of the aircraft. I'm looking out just staring out the window, listening to radios, and I fucking look down, and there's just fucking,
And you see
you just see this big fucking spinning in the ocean, like big, like fucking. Not like, oh, this little tiny thing. Like, I've seen aircraft carriers in the ocean. I've seen carrier groups as they're fucking steaming along from that altitude
Mhm.
and the size that is. This would have fucking ate that all up.
right from 37,000 feet. If you're gonna see it, it's got to be big.
Yeah. This fucking thing was enormous. And
Like my dick.
awkward silence. You can't use the word dick. You just have to like your awkward silence. And
Right.
we'll all know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
I called John over and like we can't like called up to the flight deck, like, you guys see this? Like, yeah, the fuck are we looking at? Like,
Yeah.
none of us had any fucking idea what we were looking at. And then as we kind of went by, it disappeared, and we never like. I think we looked it up at one point, but it was just one of those things like I can't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
And then seeing it on YouTube or on the news, I'm pretty sure it was on the news. It was like one of the Apple Plus fucking or Apple News things that popped
Sure.
up.
Yeah.
I'm looking, I'm like, I fucking saw that. The size of this thing, and maybe what you were talking about with the oceans, like you have this island of fucking plastic that's floating around in the ocean that would probably be about as big as this fucking asshole in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And we need to be helping that and using more glass, shit that can be recycled.
Yeah.
But
Indeed.
hey, you know what Dave's opinion on it is? We need more nuclear reactors.
Yeah.
We had this sidebar section here, but so we're talking to Kat. We're up at Kate's, right? And something came up about Chernobyl, right? Kate had no idea. Kate never heard of it. Never heard of Chernobyl.
What?
Yeah, and
What the fuck are they teaching these kids today?
Fuck if I know.
Jesus Christ.
And now her boyfriend, who's a fucking doctoral candidate for physics, obviously knew it.
I would hope so. Fuck.
Because we're just talking. The fact is, we're talking about chicken because we've been in Kiev, and like I was saying, how close Kiev was to Chernobyl, and it turned into a whole thing.
Okay.
So yeah, again, my own sidebar sections inside my own fucking family. But so we're talking about Chernobyl, and that event, like Chernobyl happened and 3 Mile Island happened, which is close to us here.
Yeah,
like you can, it's just outside Harrisburg, and that event set us back basically infinitely in developing nuclear power for this country.
Right.
Whereas
which
our dependence on fossil fuels would be like tenfold alleviated if we built more nuclear reactors.
Or fucking coal for that matter. Because I think coal is the biggest producer of electricity in this country right now, right?
It might be.
Are the coal power plants?
It might be. Not in this area necessarily. But
no, but I mean, I'm just talking in general. And, that's why we have all these fucking coal. Oh, God. The alcohol setting in. Lobbyists.
Yes.
Coal lobbies and all that stuff that, are trying to maintain relevance and everything else, because we burn a lot of fucking coals in these power plants because they won't fucking accept the nuclear technology because of shit like Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, it's like.
And the Tatsuyama, the event that happened in Japan.
With the tsunami and everything. Well,
us out either, but yeah, it's like Dave. If Dave ran the world, we'd be building more nuclear reactors.
Yeah, and
everyone's car would be electric because you'd be plugging in and getting your charging it up from nuclear.
Yes, because that's the least pollutant. At least if SimCity taught me anything, it's that nuclear power.
That was not my car.
Is the least pollutant of all of the power sources. Because if you play SimCity, remember SimCity on the Super Nintendo?
Never played it.
Oh, Dave, you're killing me.
Never played it.
Yo. Sidebar into the sidebar into the sidebar. SimCity for the Super Nintendo. Obviously, it came out on PC first, but my first exposure was on the Super Nintendo when they ported it to that. I would start a city And the whole point is like letting it grow and prosper. I would start a city. I would turn it on in the morning before I left for fucking school, right? I'd make sure like I had all my fucking power distributed throughout the whole course of the city. I'd plot all of my commercial and my residential plots and everything else. And I'd leave my fucking TV and my Super Nintendo on, and I'd go to fucking school, and I'd come home. Depending on what the gods thought at that point, I would either come home to a prosperous city that was growing and everything while I was gone, or it would be completely decimated from a random fucking natural disaster. So
that would be good. That would be funny. I did not. The entire sim products, I wasn't, unless it had flight associated with it. I was never really into it.
And Bronco Fed asked the question in the chat: have we seen the new plastic-less action figure packaging? I have not.
Neither have I.
So I'm curious what that's all about.
We talked about it before. There's like, as people who collect things, right? Collectibles being in packaging that could break down over time, like, which would be ideal, right? Because you don't want to create a lot of waste, or it's going to muck up fucking dumps and shit like that.
Sure, yeah.
But that means the collectible is not going to be as pristine because it's not in a particular material.
Right. Plus, you can't, if you get rid of the plastic part, you can't see it. Because that's the benefit of the plastic is the translucence of it, and you can see through it, and you can see the figure and all that. If it's like a paper based and you can't see through the packaging, it's like
Did you see? Let's open this up to another side.
Sure.
Did you see?
Where's my top? I need to start spinning my top.
Did you see there was a and this is a Star Trek reference, so I know Boba Fett's going to enjoy it, courtesy of his mother-in-law. Do you get that? Did you see that message traffic?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. They came up with fucking transparent aluminum.
What?
Yeah. So
Shades of Star Trek with transparent aluminum.
Yes, exactly. And like the memes following that with Scotty talking computer.
Hello, computer.
Yeah, no, apparently it's something that they developed. I started like looking at it. I was like, oh, I need to scratch this. I need to dig a little deeper. And then I had to flush, I guess, because most of this research gets done on the toilet. I'm not going to lie. So I didn't able to get down to it. But like reading the initial headlines was that they came up with this fucking transparent aluminum. And it's like, not that you're ever going to see that with fucking toys, but the idea of this, right? And could you imagine, like, because glass is so heavy. To make it strong enough to be in certain applications, it's super, super fucking heavy.
Yeah.
If you can make an aluminum structure that's transparent, think of what that's going to do with airplane technology.
Oh, shit.
Because if you can have a single sheet of aluminum, potentially, and not have these points in an airplane window, these rounded areas where these are all weakness points for fucking pressurization, like start making a fucking tube that's even more easily pressurized. Have higher altitude flights, shit like that. Dude, the potential is endless. But yeah, we could be living that right now. That's Gen Xers as the most powerful beings on Earth. We're sitting here in the beginning of all this fucking technology. It's fucking great.
Yeah. All right. Well, that being said, let's come out of this sidebar-ception that we've been going really deep into. Do you have any more honorable mentions for 2020?
I did not. That's all I had.
Yeah, and I think that was a good list. I think that was it was personal, but it was, relevant to the goings on of the fucking world and the country at large.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And
you will enjoy it.
And I think that's going to conclude this episode.
Yes. I think we need to talk about social media.
Yes, social media. What do we got?
At Gen X POV.
Everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Email, social media.
Hop on our Instagram. I just updated some stuff. We talked earlier in the podcast about the website, genxpov.buzzsprout.com. That's a good step off point. Podbelly.com is also a good step off point to find out all of our stuff.
Yes. And again, 5-star reviews. Leave us a 5-star review anywhere. Again, we'll suck your dick. I'll cup your balls. I'll even stick my finger in your asshole. Just give us a
Oh.
5-star review.
Just his finger, because his thumb, too much.
Well, again, because you have to start with a small
You gotta
plug and then work your way up. I have no idea what I'm talking about
No,
right
I
now.
know you don't. Awkward silence. Also, while you're giving us a holler and a follow. When to say? I've been tough. I don't know if anybody can notice, but like my voice is like I'm really straining.
Dave's tired. It's been a long day.
Tired and breathing is still not great.
It's been a long year.
Fuck COVID.
Yes.
Look up our friends, ATSW Escape Pod. They're doing their show live on Wednesday. They're doing a year in review.
Yep.
So I'm hoping to jump on there and harass them and try and derail them as much as possible.
Indeed.
This Wednesday. So I would encourage all of you to do the same. And you can find them on the YouTube, ATSW Escape Pod. You find them on Podbelly in the directory with the other podcasts. You know where to go.
Yep.
And while you're out there, look for the Use and Abuse podcast. They've been putting out content as well.
Scott and Kim every week.
Big Swede hasn't put out anything in forever. I don't know. He's been busy. His pod collection is growing. I think he mentioned earlier in the chat that he's picked up the guitar for the first time in a while.
I do think, you're going to see some activity on Swede Studios very soon.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. And go if you're on Facebook and you've already gone into the Sidebar Cantina, because why wouldn't you?
Right.
It's honestly the best part of this podcast, if I'm being honest.
For sure.
Go on Facebook, find Layman's Terms. Keith Layman, the gentleman who Jason is hopefully what Jason hopes is going to be taking the championship crown from.
Again, I'm not gonna comment until this week is officially over. So next week we will finish up the fantasy football talk. But yes, Layman's Terms. Keith, extreme shit talker.
Yes.
The best.
We'll see what he has to say after tonight's games.
Yes.
And I think that's it. I think that's all I got.
All right, cool. Well, I think that's it, man. Next week, as we said, MTV talking about some music television, and we're starting off the new year from a Gen X point of view, right? With something that shaped a lot of our lives,
right?
When it came to exposure to music and pop culture, and so much to unravel. I don't even know if we can cover it all in a single show.
Can't. I mean, we're gonna do our fucking damnedest. Well, let's put it this way: the relevant shit to us in the fucking early days is the most important stuff anyway. Once you get towards some of the more modern stuff, it's not gonna matter,
right?
It just isn't.
Yeah,
although
and
I'm looking forward to bringing up the fact that we did go to the Jersey Shore hangout with the
was that an MTV show? Was that MTV that the Jersey Shore came on? Okay,
that started as an MTV show.
No, you're probably right. I just remember it being a thing and watching several of the episodes and just thinking how much of a fucking train wreck it was. But no, you're right.
It's gonna be great.
So much to unpack. Oh, and Jackass, like that was actually after my time. Like I had already tuned MTV out by the time Jackass came out, but we'll talk about it next week.
We'll save it for next week.
Yeah. Don't want to blow our loads yet. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Awkward silence.
Yeah. We love you all.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Yes. Happy New Year. Have a great New Year's Day Eve celebration. Be safe. We'll see you in 2021. And remember, everything that we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click?
All right, you got to start mixing it up, though. You got to do more than Hank and Lois. We need more voices.
I need to think about it before the end of the show. That's the problem.
It's not like we don't know the fucking show is coming, but whatever. Episode 18 Raw. Episode 18 Raw. So, anybody else kind of upset by Brody Lee? Gen X POV. Fucking 41 years old. Younger than me, younger than Dave. Dead at 41 of a non-COVID related disease, which is fucking crazy. Now, I mean, let's be realistic. Pro wrestlers, there's a trend of them dying young. You know, you go back to the people that I fucking idolized. Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, you know, they both died at like fucking 40 and 41, I think. So, you know, hearing about Brody Lee, yes, it's tragic. He was 41 years old, but at the same time, it just kind of follows along that trend. And when you're over that age, when you're fucking 44, 45, and you hear about a 41-year-old dying of a fucking lung disease, that's it hits close to home.
If it doesn't wake you up at some point, then you're really good at just being in denial, or you're really good at just saying, okay, that's not me, and I'm going to go about my life.
Right. And I cannot do that.
I am not that guy.
Every time I hear about somebody in their fucking 40s dying of a heart attack or some cancer or whatever, it freaks me the fuck out, because that could have easily have been me, right? That could easily be me right now, fucking living in oblivion or whatever the fuck happens after we fucking die.
Yeah.
That's the thing that scares the shit out of me more than anything else, is like, what the fuck? What happens after this?
It's the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
It really is. I think that's it for all of us.
Yeah.
It's that's why I kind of lean into that stoicism a little bit, because the idea of dealing with that fear, and not necessarily like, I can't control, well, I mean, depending on what belief system you're in, right? But I can't necessarily control the outcome of that.
Yeah.
Right. I can work out more. I can be healthier. I can to help ensure a little bit more longevity. You know, if that's what I'm concerned with. You know, you can do those things, but your mortal self is just that. And whatever happens after that, like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
And
none of us do. And the sad reality is death comes for us all, right?
Yes.
At some point, you know, you might live to be 120, but at the end of the day, it's still coming knocking.
Speaking of,
at some point,
fucking these, what do they call them? Are they centurions or something? Like when they reach 100, they call them something, right? I think it has something to do with century. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, Jamie, bring that up. But anyway, these people that reach 100 and they're like, oh yeah, I drink a beer every day.
Right. And again, that's what I said. Like when I hit 90, it's going to be like, woo, give me a line of fucking Coke. Give me a couple of beers. Fucking, I'm doing it all. Fuck it.
I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I think if I'm looking forward to 65. I'm looking forward to that point where I'm retiring again. I want to be able to move my carcass, like operate this fucking meat mech suit, to be able to do at least get out, do some adventuring.
To the point where you're not answering to somebody, right?
Facts.
At the end of the day, you're not a fucking slave to some fucking job or some boss or whatever, where you can completely disconnect yourself.
And like, what are we doing tomorrow? Oh, we want to do this? Cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
Boom, gone. Like, let's wake up early and fucking go. That's the other thing too. Like, a good habit that you have that I encourage for other people is get up early.
Yeah.
Wake up early. Like, I know a lot of people, I struggle with a lot, obviously, but I struggle with the idea that I want to stay up late, because when I go to sleep, I'm potentially like losing time. So I'd rather, like, I'm not tired right now, let me do something, whether, even if it's fucking something meaningless, like play a word puzzle game, or play go on and turn on the Xbox, do whatever. But staying up late, I like kind of equate to almost longevity, when in reality, if I was able to get to bed at a nominal time, maybe not as early as you do, I'd be able to be up at 5:36 in the morning willingly. Then I probably would have more time to be able to operate during normal daylight hours. But unfortunately, right now, I think if I woke up that early, I'd just be starting to work that early. And I don't want to fucking do that. They can suck a dick.
Right.
I really
Suck a
want
dick, suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick, suck a dick, suck a dick, suck a big.
Dutch, thank you. It is a centenarian.
Is that the people with the human upper body and the fucking horse lower
That would
body?
be a centaur.
Oh, okay.
And I look at that and I think of the action. Remember the action figure? Like they had all the holes on them, so they could put like attach all these accessories.
Oh, the
to it.
He-Man.
No. They were called centurions, and they're yeah, dude, totally. I gotta.
No, I remember the He-Man figure that had all the fucking different parts that you could put together like a fucking.
No, these guys. The fact is, Brett from the tattoo place, Centurion action figure. You'll recognize it when you see it. Throw it up here. Suck a dick, suck a dick, suck a dick. Now shit's stuck in my fucking
Suck
head.
a dick, suck a big or small dick.
So you see these guys?
I do.
There was a cartoon for it too.
I remember the cartoon. I don't remember the action figures.
They're
though.
like underwater fucking things.
Well, it was during the time, during the 80s, when everything was both a animated TV show and a fucking toy simultaneous.
Yeah, see this guy?
Yeah.
You have all these fucking accessories for.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And he's just basically a dude with fucking holes all over him. It's like a fucking like Molly gear. Just fucking stick a bunch of shit on him. That's a centurion. Anyway.
Gotcha. I like it.
And back. And we're back. We gotta do that. That's that. I was thinking when I was taking a piss. How long can we play a clip before we like have to worry about getting in trouble for it?
Oh, like a fair use kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think there's a general rule of thumb. I think it's like 20 seconds.
Oh, dude. I then we should totally have for the next episode. I think I have our intro.
Oh, really?
I'll put something together.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if we can do it, like if we can do 20 seconds, if that's the rule, even if it's 15, I think I can make that work.
Okay.
All right. Because I'm fucking Dutch, man. He's got me. He says, "Hey, have you thought about getting into the video part of this?" I'm like, "No, I don't really like it. Do whatever."
What do you mean the video part?
Like just because doing the drone flying and kind of like working videos. Like my camera, I'm a stills guy. Right. Yeah. I look through the lens of a camera and to see a still image.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not into the video part of it. Whereas the Dutch is super into he's more into my aspect of it. He's more into the video parts of it. And this technology is fucking amazing. Like even my Canon 90D, which is still it's a APS-C sensor. It's not a full frame camera, but I can do 1080 fucking without any issues. Like the cameras that Dutch has, you do 4K, no problems. The fucking drones that they're flying, like that Big Swede and fucking Dutch, they're flying around. They got 4K in those.
God
I can
damn.
do 1080p in my fucking drone. So it's like the video aspect of it is interesting, but especially like with the drone stuff, because I was putting together a little bit longer video. I sent you a link to it.
Oh yeah.
But as I was reminded by my fellow drone enthusiasts that there's some rules that I have to make sure that I'm not breaking before the FAA sees it and yells at me.
Right.
So that I have to keep that in mind while I'm editing. But case in point, for the drone guys that are listening right now, they had. So I'm sure you guys know about it already, but it was a new find for me. Again, while sitting on the crap, I spend a lot of time on the crapper.
Apparently,
way too much. But I take like a thing. And anyway,
it's not like showering.
I shower excessively.
We know
they kind of go hand in hand.
Those are storied tales from the Martin household.
But there's an app called Kitty Hawk, right? Which basically
sounds like a pedophile app,
or like the place where the first flight took place.
Okay.
Awkward silence. Anyway, the Kitty Hawk app, so if I wanted to fly around here, I don't really need to worry about it because I'm outside of the Class B. But it'll actually show like the airspace and stuff. And say when I'm at home, and if I want to fly at home legally, I need to request basically I request a flight. Like I'm basically following a flight plan
Okay.
through this system. And in the Class B up to 400 feet, like at my house, it's an auto. Like I just hit submit, boom, they send me a text message, say, okay, here's your authorization number. You have it for this long amount of time.
Okay.
But I was looking like the stuff I did at the art museum, as long as I wasn't over people, all of it's legit because there's no, aside from the 400-foot altitude restriction, it's not in the Class B.
Huh.
So it's like shit like that. I'm like, okay, I make my drone flights more legit so that I can put more stuff out on YouTube.
Sure.
Because that's the goal. I like flying a drone. I want any photographer, any content creator, honestly. But for me, for photography, and I'm sure with videography would be the same, is like I want somebody else to look at whatever I did and go like, wow, that's cool. That's it.
Yeah.
Like thinking about it from a monetization standpoint, I don't have time in my life to do that.
It takes a lot of work.
Instagram is just one of those places where I'm like, I'm going to throw this thing up, and then if it garners a bunch of likes and somebody appreciates it, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because it's like validation for when I look and see something through the camera and I want it to present, and I want other people to validate it.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, like some of the stuff that you've shot, like especially like last week that we talked about when you did the snow stuff, going over the art museum and everything, man, it looked fucking awesome. Really, really good shit. So, and I'm sure if you had the time and the bandwidth, you could do something that you could actually monetize it, but it's like, fuck.
It's a
how much effort do you really want to put into something like this?
I would love to put a lot of effort into it, but the reality is I have a part-time job with the lodge. So I have that commitment that I'm being compensated for it, however much or little that is, but it is a commitment.
Yeah.
So that eats up a lot of time, and I'm fortunate where I can kind of combine things like going out on hikes and stuff with Kathy and the dog, and kind of combine that stuff.
Yeah.
So I get to take pictures and do some editing and things like that. But yeah, I'm not in it for the money. Just like when we're doing this, I mean, we're doing this. We want it to grow, and if we get a little bit of kickback for our Monday evenings, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's the goal to do this is to make it self-sustaining.
Sure,
right? Yeah. Like we're gonna do it anyway. It might as well fucking be self-sustaining, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, the idea of just generating content and like I said, I asked for a memory for the Mac for Christmas to be able to be like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, then whatever. My wife is calling me.
Well, she knows we're recording.
Yeah, she does. She'll be pissed if I put her on speaker. Hey. We're still recording the post show, but we're going to be done here in a minute. Oh. All right, I'll ask. Okay. I will. Love you too. Bye. Apparently, our local sushi place is closed. So.
Oh shit!
And Kate's having her last meal before her surgery, so she wants sushi. There's a sushi place around.
Fuck.
That's open.
Kristen would know.
Yeah.
Like she's very well versed in all of the eateries in this area, but she is working tonight.
Oh, she's still working?
Yeah, she's working till 9, so I can send her a text.
I'll tell her to text her. And riveting for the 6 people that are still watching.
Indeed. This is the post show. This is what you get.
This is the post show.
Sushi, huh? That's what Kate wanted as the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Was
well, apparently she can't get good.
I mean, I think my standards are pretty low because I think the commissary sushi is actually pretty decent. So
commissary sushi is a good representation. I think Wegmans is good.
I haven't had that.
Wegmans is good. It produces a good product. I don't know if they're probably not open.
Though I've had sushi in Japan, so
Yeah, see, therein lies the problem. And this is where our elitism starts playing into it.
Yeah, like I've had sushi. I think you were there. Were you there in Okinawa where we went to the sushi place right outside of Kadena? We took our fucking shoes off going into there. Like I'm pretty sure you were at that place with me.
Yeah. It was
Logan was there, and
yeah,
we got
Logan.
a huge fucking tray of sushi, and he wanted to keep eating. And
yeah, it was a giant boat. It was a sushi boat.
Yeah.
That was my first experience for sushi. Was that at that place?
Oh no shit!
At Yoshi's.
Wow.
Yeah, it was called Yoshi's.
Yeah, it was like in a back alley somewhere too. Like,
yeah, it was a weird cab ride, and then you took your shoes off. It was the whole experience. It was fucking delicious. Tough to replicate that here in the States. Although Harbor Docks, I remember Harbor Docks down in Destin.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Yeah,
it was good sushi. If Brady is still in here, Big Lovin', I know he spent some time in Destin, Fort Walton Beach area. Then he's probably been to Harbor Docks and eaten there. It's a good spot.
Kristen said in Collingswood, Sagumi is a really good sushi place. Sagimi. She corrected herself.
I'm still spelling it wrong, most likely. So yeah, Dutch said our mics are good because he could still hear my wife's phone conversation.
Nice.
Wegmans is open till midnight.
Damn.
It's a little bit of a drive for me though. And I have to go into a fucking store.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't like it. How's the Wawa sushi? There is no Wawa sushi. That is not a thing. Thank God. That would be horrific.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be good.
You know, we could do a show probably entirely on like not necessarily Wawa, but like the convenience store. Because you didn't grow up with Wawa.
No, I grew up with 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
It was all about 7-Eleven growing up.
Yeah, so the 7-Eleven versus
and AM PM. AM PM was a big thing too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious the comparisons because I know Wawa was probably one of the first places for me that was you could walk into at 3 a.m. and get a fresh sandwich that wasn't a diner.
Yeah.
Like that was the big draw for Wawa. Like it wasn't prepackaged. It wasn't something that was sitting under a heat lamp for fucking since yesterday.
Right. Well, see, so many different experiences in California because we had like our AMPMs and our 7-Elevens, right? Which they did have like either the hot dogs or the hamburgers under the fucking heat lamps. But what they did have that we still don't have out here in Jersey was if you're fucking drinking, it gets to 1 o'clock in the morning and you're like, fuck, we're out of beer. Let's just walk to the 7-Eleven and go get a couple more 6-packs.
Yeah.
Because you can do that in California.
Yeah,
and in many states in this fucking union. But New Jersey, you can't walk to the local convenience store and get a fucking 6-pack or get a fucking, fifth of vodka.
Not in Jersey, but you can in PA. Like the Wawas and Sheets and places like that. You're getting beer and wine.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because in California, again, the fucking 24-hour convenience stores, your gas stations, your whatever. Yeah, you can just walk right over.
Yeah, and going into even a grocery store and be like, because I remember
grocery stores
when we go down to Florida, it was all the time. We'd go to Publix, and down in that Fort Walton Beach area because I spent so much time down there, and we're like, all right, let's stock up on some shit. Let's run to Publix and go in. And you could fucking get a 30-pack of fucking beer, a bottle of whatever, and food and everything else in the same fucking landing area. And you're like, okay, cool, bro. Then you're out.
Yeah, which we're in a really weird spot in Jersey where you can't do that.
PA has weird shit too, though. Like you can go into a convenience store and get beer and wine, but you can't get spirits. So like you have to go to a packaged goods store, basically.
Okay,
it's the way that PA has it's the way they tax their alcohol.
And that's what it boils down to. It's all about politics. It's all about fucking lobbies and.
Yeah,
certain people having control.
So Bronco Fett's asking, or is talking about Slurpees, like 7-Eleven.
Yo, Slurpees were the shit, man.
Yeah.
No, but even like Slurpees aside, the big gulps, the big fucking 40-ounce fucking refillable like soda cups. Holy shit, man.
So we still have a 7-Eleven in Runnymede.
There's a few around here in
Yeah.
Jersey. Like we still have 7-Elevens in this area, but like Wawa and even Royal Farms are really trying to just like
Yeah, they're moving.
take over.
Yeah, the 7-Eleven, my probably best experience with 7-Eleven was overseas.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Thailand. We were in Bangkok,
Mm-hmm.
and we were doing the we were doing a James Bond tour. So basically, like from one of the Bond films, they did this like chase scene that was in the canal system and shit. That's there in Bangkok, right?
Yeah.
Out in the water. So we got off the jet. We went and toured like one of the temples, right, where we had the fucking, because we were wearing shorts and we had to put on burlap fucking pants because you weren't allowed to fucking show your legs. It was hot as fuck, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Ask Liam about King Motherfucker. Like apparently that was the king that lived there, and that's how they pronounced it, motherfucker.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, we couldn't unhear that. But we went from there. We went to the boat thing where we're sitting on this, one of those long boats. Like so, Liam and I are sitting like this next to each other, and it has a fucking V8, a 351 Windsor fucking V8 engine with a shaft going out the back and into the fucking water.
Nice.
So you're like, so the fucking thing is roaring. We're up in the front, right? And we're like, oh, this is nice. The kind of water's kind of hitting us. We're cooling off a little bit, right? Because it was like 104 degrees with a 150% humidity, right? So your ass is just fucking sweating, and the water's hitting us in the face. And we look over, and we see there's a dude just taking a shit right into the fucking water, like off the pier, right? And we look and we see that one, and then we're like, well, there's another one. He's shitting piss in this water, right? And now we're like, oh, take this in the face, take this in the mouth, right? So we get off of this fucking boat and we go and we're walking around town. I'm like, fuck, I need water. I need to fucking rinse this shit off of my fucking face.
Yeah.
And we turn around the corner. There's a fucking 7-Eleven. Like they didn't have Slurpees, but they had cans of soda. They had bottled water. Had some foodstuffs. Local foodstuffs. So
sure.
Like, fucking 7-Eleven. Like
that's great. Well, I sent you the picture 2 weeks ago. The 7-Eleven in the middle of the fucking Dallas airport.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like on a fucking corner in the Dallas airport, there's a fucking 7-Eleven now. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's good shit.
AMPM had big buckets with straws for soda.
Yeah. Well, we'll save those conversations for another time.
Absolutely.
I think this is about time where we need to wind this down because
apparently I got to go on a sushi hunt.
Yeah. So go to Collingswood. It's not that far from here. So
apparently it's closed.
Oh, sorry. Thanks everybody for sticking with us for this long. It's been a unique year. We'll just say that.
It has. It's been fun though.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys coming along for the ride.
Yeah. Glad you're all still here. We have our regulars and we're picking up more people all the time. So we appreciate and love you all. Thanks everybody. Yes. But I think it is time to sign off. And this concludes our broadcast day.
We should have that thing we can put up. Like it's the cathode ray tube fucking electron target. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
We should have that. End of the broadcast day.
I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Probably.
Just pull it and allegedly we can upload things into the StreamYard.
Yes.
So according to Dave,
we will be doing that.
All right. And we will do it.
Make the sacrifice. Bye.
See you guys.